Orc's Plaything by Celeste King. Orc Warriors of Protheka.
Well, what do we have here?
What, this? This is worlds-of-protheka.com, home to countless unabridged audiobooks.
You seem like someone who seems to have a knack for turning interruptions into invitations.
Guilty as charged. Care to join me in some uninterrupted fun?
You know I want to, but we can't do it here. If we did, we really would get charged.
Of course not here. On worlds-of-protheka.com. That's where the uncut spicy scenes are.
You mean YouTube won't be able to cut things short right when we're getting to the steamy parts?
Exactly. No one would be there to stop us. Nothing would be in our way, especially if we use code YouTube30 for a 30% discount on all digital products.
Does that mean what I think it does?
You, me, and a library of naughty books for us to read.
Be careful what you wish for.
Thanks for listening to Celeste King's Orc's Plaything.
Chapter 1. Thanos. The sun creeps over the horizon, along the vine-covered buildings, and up into the sky. Though I've been on this planet for decades, it is still a sight I never tire of. But today I have greater things on my mind. The long, low sound of the battle horn travels across the ruins of this once great city. It's a place that I've come to love, my admiration for the architecture never waning. It's one of the only things that I envy about humans. Now it is our stronghold, and we have made it our home. The grand buildings with their sturdy stone walls providing shelter that is beyond protection from the elements. These buildings speak of power and ingenuity. It is a place that is worthy of the War God clan. I hold my hammer up and see the glint of the morning rays on its pristine head. This is my weapon of choice. This morning I accept the challenge of Gonar, chieftain of the Frenzied clan, and as Thanos, chieftain of the War God clan, I have every intention of winning. We are the biggest clan there is, warriors known and feared by every orc out there, and the first to arrive on this planet. Some say that the reason we are so great is because of our devotion to our war god, and that of course holds much truth. But we fight hard and play hard, and that also has a hand in our success. "It is almost time, Thanos," says the familiar voice behind me. I turn to Valskor, my friend and second in command. "And I am ready. We leave shortly." The look on his face is serious. "Come now, old friend. Why the stern face? I will be back drinking ale and seducing women before the sun barely has chance to move across the sky." He smiles at me, an eyebrow raised, like it could be any other way. I clap him on the back. It will never be any other way as long as there is breath in this body. "And I have certainly come to know that," he says, shaking his head. "If you cannot keep up, it is not your fault. I am the leader after all, and there is plenty here that the women like to work with," I tease, throwing my hands up. "But there are plenty of women to go around, even if the ale supplies can get too low on times." "Maybe we should concentrate on the task at hand," says Valskor. My mood changes, my voice becoming more forceful. "The task at hand belongs to me, Valskor, and I am more than ready for it." I look at him with narrowed eyes, my nostrils flaring. "I am the chieftain of the War God clan, and I am always ready for battle." "Of course, Chief. My apologies," says Valskor, bowing his head. He takes a step backwards as a further mark of submission. Though I do not wish to chastise him unnecessarily, when it comes to my rank, I must always be ready to defend it and stake my claim. Not that I have to do this often amongst my people. The clan comes first. They know this. I have fought hard for them, and as such have gained their trust, respect, and admiration. And if this extends to the females who offer themselves willingly, then I am more than happy to oblige. Because I am Thanos, and war, women and ale are what I live for. I look at him, resting a hand on his shoulder. There is no need to fear. I will do what I need to do, what I'm made to do, and I will return. This I'm sure of. "Of course," he says, raising his head and looking up at me. Though he is tall and strong, I still tower above him, as I do everyone else in this clan. I do this for my god, and for my clan. As you always do, Chief. Well, it's not all wine and women, I say, returning to my more jubilant self. But they certainly help. Though I joke, I am more than aware of the task ahead. This is one more battle that I will fight for my clan. Our neighboring enemies, the Frenzied Clan, have requested a warrior challenge, the only way to settle a dispute without entering all-out war. There are other strong and hostile clans with their attentions on us. We need to keep up our strength and not risk losing much-needed warriors. Only one person needs to die today. We fight for supplies and women, a human settlement that both of our clans recently discovered between our borders. This is my type of fight, and though pride and glory are always motivation enough, there is certainly plenty to gain from this win. Human settlements do not come along often. When the orcs arrived through the rift following the persecution of the elves, many of the humans fell at our hands. The rest fled, many underground in bunkers that keep them hidden and isolated. Now it is rival clans that are the biggest threats to us orcs. We are a race made for battle and conquest. We fight not just for spoils, but because it is what we are made of. It is not known how many humans are left now. As a clan, we have had little to do with them, which is why I am determined to win this fight. I've often wondered about that species, what drives them, how they came to make such a plentiful world, the technologies, scientific advances, and feats of engineering. They are puny and weak, but are capable of things far greater than we in many respects. But these are not things I would say openly. It is not the orc way to admit weakness of any kind. Though I cannot help but wonder what could happen if our skills and assets were combined. As I gather my remaining weapons, 2 small daggers and my iron gloves, I wonder what I will find among the humans today. And of course, I wonder about their women. They will be ours by the end of the day. Of this I am sure, but I do not expect it to be easy. The Frenzied Clan are aptly named. Less strategic than many clans, this is a group of orcs that are wild for the fight, battle running in their blood and burned into their bones. It is my job to know my enemy, and I understand the nature of their clan. I will be ready. Gather the men, I say. I will address them now, and we will march to the place of battle. Yes, Chief, Valskor says, before giving another bow of his head and leaving me. Before we march, I will pay my respects to the war god of my people. This is my way. My strength and determination will win me the battle, and the war god will ensure that this clan will always be made of the best warriors, with the most feared and respected reputation. This battle is ours. The spoils are ours. The glory is ours. We are the war god clan, and I am Thanos, their leader. This will always be our way until the day I am no longer drawing breath. But that day will not be today.
Chapter 2. Tara. The smell of battle-fueled orcs fills the morning air. There is nothing like it, a stench so pungent it sticks in the back of my throat. Today is the day. As promised, they have returned and will fight for the right to take the women and the supplies. Because that is how things work in this world. We are commodities to be used, bartered with and fought over, just like grain or meat. Many are resigned to this fate, having known nothing else. But not me. It is not who I am and not how I was raised. Change must come, and this will only happen if it is fought for and ushered in. It is something that burns in me so strongly, the desire to change this damn world, and has always been at the forefront of my mind and in the centre of my heart. It can't always be this way, surely. There must come a time when humans can take their planet back from orcs, and women can take their power back from men. It is what my father believed. It is what I believe. It is the thing that fuels me. My eyes are trained on the huge bodies in front of me, taking them in fully so that I have the best idea of how and where to strike. Orcs are not the only ones made to kill, and I have a keen eye for weakness. As an assassin that has trained with the best of the resistance against the orcs, I have already slaughtered many of these beasts. But these are 2 of the toughest clans out there, and I must be ready for them. It is true what they say. These orcs are different. All orcs are good for is war and destruction, and these seem to be made of it. They are fierce, incredibly strong and huge. The war god chieftain must be at least 7.5 feet tall, his body covered in rune markings that add to his air of ferocity. I wonder about the markings and what they mean, if they are symbols that belong to the god that he worships. His men are loyal and fierce, and are larger than all of the orcs I have known. They are known to be the best warriors amongst their kind, and, if their physicality is anything to go by, it is no wonder. There is something about the frenzied clan that drives a deep and primal fear into me. It is in their eyes, a madness that seeks nothing but breaking others. I would not expect to know mercy or compassion from any orc, but especially from these. My chest tightens when I think of the women here, 22 in all. Being taken by a clan must surely be a fate worse than death. But if the frenzied clan were to win this battle and take possession of us, it does not bear thinking about. As an assassin and as part of the resistance, my powerlessness in this situation is crushing. Whatever happens, I must stick to what I need to do, what I have been trained to do. Despite everything, I have to have faith, even if the way I go about it has to change. The aim is simple, if not easy. Infiltrate the War God clan and the Frenzied clan and take out their leaders. It is an assignment we have planned for 3 years, and it was not supposed to go this way. But one thing we did not plan for was being discovered by them. Now, as they fight over who will take control of us, my anger seethes. Orcs are the vile animals that killed my father during a mission. They are liars and beasts, and I will not stop until every last one of them has been eradicated from this planet. This is what I do. I resist. Because there is no doubt in my mind what will happen to the humans of this settlement once they have been captured and claimed by whichever clan wins. They are the animals, but we are the ones that are treated like them, with no rights and no freedoms. I have to be strong, and I have to keep going. As the noise intensifies and the sound of their horns and angry roars fills the air, I keep one thing in my mind. My mission. I must kill the chieftain of the Ward God clan. Though things have not exactly worked out that way, and the leader of the other clan may do that for me. But for now, that is still where my focus remains, until fate says otherwise. Whatever happens, I will adapt. As humans, that is what we do. The noise is deafening, and I try to drown out as much as I can. Training is about the mind as well as the body, if not more. Physically, I can't match an orc, but psychologically, I am stronger than any orc and, I have no doubt, a hell of a lot smarter. We gather in the centre of the bridge that stretches out across the water, its stone arches still holding strong after many years of assault. This was once known as the Brooklyn Bridge, I am told, and there are times that being here is some comfort, as though in being suspended above the swirling water there is a freedom. But not now. It is teeming with orcs and the fight is about to begin. Seeing 2 orcs pummel each other to death should feel better than it does, and if the stakes were not so high, no doubt it would. The horns of each clan assault my senses, the roars building as the 2 orcs prepare to meet, and whoever wins will be my captor. Thanos and Gonar, going head to head, hammer to machete. The leaders stand opposite each other, waiting for their signal, their faces made of fury. When a final sharp blast of a horn is delivered, they surge into each other. The force is so great, I can almost feel it, like a depth charge that permeates out across the ether. Though they sicken me, watching orcs fight is a sight to behold. Brute strength is not everything, I am more than aware of that. But it's not just their physical prowess, it is the sheer determination, the belief and the desire to win. God knows I would never believe myself to have anything in common with orcs. But I am a warrior, and I take it upon myself to learn from others who are strong, physically and mentally. I see now what I am up against. These leaders are instruments of pure power and strength. The look in their yellow eyes as they meet each other in battle is not anything I know from a human. It is pure, unadulterated animal instinct. But I am not an animal, and humans can kill animals. We have been doing it since we evolved. Beasts that are much bigger and stronger than us. This is how I see the orcs. Whereas many humans fear their strength and brutality, and for good reason, once you know what you are dealing with, it changes things. They are animals, pure and simple. Plans change. But my intentions do not. If these orc chieftains do not kill each other, then it is still my job to it. As I watch them crash into each other, blood spattering the ground, there is nothing in the world that I want more. One way or another, these orc leaders will die.
Chapter 3. Thanos. I let the roars and the chants from my warriors become a part of me, drawing everything in and using it. Loudest of all is my friend Valskor. It is his job as my second-in-command to rouse them and support their leader. I have chosen well, this much I know. He is a strong and capable deputy, and the men respond well to him, even if he can be a little on the serious side. I bring my hammer across Gonar's head with nearly everything that I have, though still he stands. Timing is everything in battle, and it is too soon to bring my best. There is no doubt he is one of the strongest chieftains I have ever gone up against. Anyone else would have been brought to the ground by that blow, and something in me is quietly impressed. But not worried. Never worried. In return, he lunges at me with his machete, but even though I am large, I am quick, and I manage to evade the dirty blade. He comes at me time after time, and each of these strikes I dodge. This makes him crazed with anger and frustration. His face works into a grimace of fury, and I roar at him. I will not let him believe that he can win this fight. It is mine for the taking, as are the spoils. The War God clan does not lose. Like a crazed animal, he slashes at me. This is how they fight, and I see that he is stepping up his game. Their strength lies in their ability to harness their rage and send it out into the world and against their opponents like a weapon in itself. But I have my own strengths, and now he will feel the true force of them. Twisting my body, I spin across the ground at him, knocking the machete out of his hand. I hear the sound of bone snapping, and he cries out. Saliva drips from his mouth as he pulls at his fingers. With a quick and strong swipe of my foot, I send him crashing to the ground. But he is stronger than I at first thought, springing back up and charging at me. He is fierce and strong, a worthy chieftain. But I am bigger, and I will take him. Once again we surge at each other, and I use the fact that he is now without a weapon to my advantage. But as I try to swing my hammer at him, he punches hard at my wrist, pain searing through my arm. The hammer falls to the floor, and he reaches down and clutches it, flinging it across the ground out of my reach. "How about we settle this with just our hands?" he growls. "Fine by me," I return, crashing my fist hard and fast under his chin. My wrist howls at me, yet I am aware that he is also struggling. The fingers that I have snapped looking gnarled and bloody. The strike makes a sickening sound as his flesh meets with mine, and I think this must surely be it. I have more to give, much more, but I would prefer to save my strength for when I return to the stronghold. There will be some celebrating to do. Yet still he stands. Somehow I feel a slight respect for him. The frenzied clan are our enemies, but any orc that can withstand my blows in this way and still remain standing deserves it. Nevertheless, I have a job to do. I rain down blow after blow, punches, kicks, everything that I have now saved for the end of the battle. This is where battles are won when, in the mind of the opponent, they submit to the strength and resilience of me, Thanos. Frenzy is all well and good, but it will eventually wear out. Not so with the War God clan. We are made for more than just some wild bursts of energy. We are built for the long haul, made not just for battle, but for war. I hear the roar of my men, spurring me on as I take him. Rage courses through me. Why did Gonar think he could challenge me? This is not bravery, it is surely stupidity. He refuses to fall, and so I have no choice but to continue my assault. Soon he will not have a face left unless he submits. His flesh is swollen beyond recognition, and he is losing much blood. "Do you surrender?" I cry, giving him the opportunity to save himself any more of my blows. He is unsteady on his feet, and his eyes are a strange medley of confusion and anger. An orc's pride will not let them give in easily. I understand this, but still, I give him the chance. My men are now the ones who are crazed, their yells, cries, and whoops ringing in my ears, along with the blood that is pumping furiously. His men are suddenly more subdued as they watch their chieftain struggle. Eventually he staggers, and the familiar feeling of victory starts to grow. Dropping to his knees, he submits, and I know now that I have finally won. "Praise be to the war god!" I shout, my arms in the air and my face to the sky. "It is he that brings us victory once again. I am Thanos, chieftain of the war god clan." The roars from my men own the air. I hear my name chanted over and over. My chest surges with pride and my blood is alive, a feeling that I can never get enough of. Taking the time to soak up my victory and recover my breath, I realize it is not just glory I have won. We now return to the stronghold with an abundant supply of food and other supplies, as well as a large group of human females. Casting my eyes over them, my chest tightens. They are crying, some wailing, some silent, others in deep, racking sobs. Though I am fierce, I am not a monster, damn it. Why must they always cry? We will not eat them. Though many orcs covet human females for their beds, this is why I have left them well alone. Human women are small and frail. Give me orc women any day, strong in both mind and body. Tonight I will most definitely take my fill. I notice that all of them aside from one are crying. She stares at me, her eyes piercing and unyielding, not what I would expect from a human. Unlike the others, she does not seem to be afraid. More than anything, I am struck by how beautiful those eyes are, as blue as the sky and the ocean. I've never seen anything quite like them before in all of my years on this planet. No, there is no fear in her. Now I am intrigued. She is tall, nothing like us orcs, but taller than a lot of their women. Her body is slender and lithe, and her beautiful face, with its high cheekbones and full rosy lips, is framed by long golden hair. I am fresh from the battle, as always the victor, and now it is time to claim the spoils. With my eyes fixed firmly on hers, I approach her. Today is a good day indeed.
Chapter 4. Tara. It seems as though my plan has not changed, even if some of the circumstances have. I must assassinate Thanos, the chieftain of the war god clan, the huge beast that now makes his way towards me. He is certainly the largest and the strongest orc that I have ever come across, and there is no way that I can contemplate assassinating him with force alone. This will take something a bit more considered. I will need to get close to him, that it is the only way. It will need to be an assassination that is well planned and done swiftly and quietly, when no one, especially this huge oaf, will see me coming. For my father, for the women that now have to leave this place and go back with them, for the human race as a whole. I can do this. I must do this. The assignment is tough, and I am aware what I can possibly achieve if I succeed. The War God clan is widely acknowledged as the strongest orc clan on the planet. If I kill him, once and for all, then I send a signal out to every resistance member out there that it is possible to defeat these creatures, no matter their size or strength, that we can take back our planet and our lives. But if I fail, then the resistance may well be discovered. I will lose my life, which I am willing to do for the cause, but only if I take him with me. Battle may be in their blood, but resistance is in mine. A lot now rests on my shoulders, but I have felt the weight of burden before. Nothing quite as important as this, though. If I succeed, I could change the course of history for humans and the orcs. It's what I intend to do. I have been trained and prepared for this my whole life, and I will see it through to the very end. Nothing matters more to me, especially since the death of my father at their hands. Revenge is not where my focus should be, but I would be a liar if I did not admit that it is built into my motivations. Around me I hear the cries of the women. I wish I could reach out to them with my mind and tell them that it will be okay. Not easy, but okay in the end, if I can just complete this assignment. Breathing in deeply, I try to gather myself and calm my nerves. My training has been extensive, and my skills are greater than they have ever been. This is why I have been given this job. I need to trust that I can do it. I owe it to these women. As he walks towards me, I do not take my eyes from his. Fear rises from my belly, and my legs twitch as my natural instinct to take flight courses through my body, but I don't. I stand my ground. His face is still wild from the fight, blood spattered across his moss-green skin. I can smell the battle on him, the blood, sweat and orc. The size of him overwhelms me. It is no wonder he is so successful. A pillar of muscle and sinew so great, I wonder what it will take to break him. The women around me are now so full of fear that all I can hear are their ragged breaths. This orc could take any one of us and rip us apart with his bare hands. Thanos is the biggest and most formidable creature I have ever known, and to be so close to him is enough to make anyone sick with fear. I swallow hard before he is in front of me. Though terror wants to creep in, I remember what I am here for. If I have caught his attention, then this is a good thing. I need his attentions. I need to get close to him. Then I can kill him. Thanos stops in front of me, his hands resting on his strong hips. The women close to me tremble, but I will not give him that satisfaction, even if my stomach feels as though it is quivering and my heart is beating like a drum. Though I am tall, I still have to strain my neck to look up at him. He grins at me, his teeth stained with blood. His yellow eyes seem to be able to pierce my very soul. "Are you not scared of me, human?" His voice is low and booming, and I swear I can feel it echo in my chest as though a detonator has been let off. My mind works fast as I think of how to respond. This is an orc who respects displays of strength, I can see that. If he is asking me such a question, then I will give him an answer he will like. "It is survival of the fittest," I say, "and I know I am going to survive if I acknowledge you." I keep my eyes on him and hope that my words and my tone do the job. It does not bear thinking about if they don't, but I am good at judging character. Just another part of being human and of my training that I always use to my advantage. The laugh that erupts from him surprises me. He looks around at his men, who join in with him. Do you hear that? Maybe not all humans are as spineless as we think. Here we have a human female who knows how to control her fear in order to survive. Turning back to me, his self-satisfied grin grows wider. "I like you, come with me," he says, a large index finger beckoning me forward. Inside, I am now smiling, not expecting it to be this easy. But it seems Thanos may be easier to work with in some ways rather than others. I need to keep him on side. "Come, it is time to return," he shouts to the other orcs. "As victors." His men erupt for the last time, while the frenzied clan warriors help Gonar to his feet and retreat as silently as they can. It is obvious they are not used to losing, but in this world, there are always lessons to be learned. Welcome to Earth. "Gather our spoils," orders Thanos. "We will take as much as we can carry." They get to work. Though they seem to think it is theirs by rights, they are nothing more than thieves, once again stealing from the native inhabitants of this planet. This is what orcs do, steal and destroy. That is why they must be eradicated. "And careful with these women. They are weak and not like our own," commands Thanos, as the women start to cry and quake as they are rounded up. I watch as they are forced into a line, my place now beside Thanos. I seethe. How dare he? If only he knew just how capable some of us human women are. Orcs think that brute strength, battle, and their ridiculous orc pride is what makes someone strong. They have no idea what humans are capable of. But they will find out soon enough, as will he, and I will be the one to show him.
Chapter 5. Thanos. Valskor, did I not tell you I would be back in one piece, ready to drink and then take to my bed? I roar, my voice echoing around the main hall. But how many will you take to your bed? Shouts one of my men. They erupt with laughter before my second-in-command replies. Indeed you did, my chief. And I'm very glad for it, he says, raising a tankard at me. To Thanos, our esteemed and unbeaten chieftain, he shouts. To Thanos, they cry. I smile and take in the glory, soaking it up as though it is the sun. In truth, I need it just as much as I need the sun's rays and the river's waters. This is what I am. But how many? The rowdy one still protests. More than you could handle in a week, I bellow in return, the laughter resuming as I continue to hold my audience. Though my place is on the battlefield, I am also more than at home here, sat upon my throne amongst my strongest and most trusted men. It has been a long day, and soon I will send the warriors back to their quarters. For now, I will enjoy the last minutes of their company as we toast my success and honor the war god. Not only has he brought us glory, he has brought us food, wine, women, and her. Sitting upon my throne in the main hall, I cannot help but stare at the woman before me. She has dazzled me since the moment I laid eyes on her this morning. Still her eyes are on me, and still she seems void of fear. Sipping at my wine, I study her. She seems to have become more beautiful with each passing hour, and I wonder what it would feel like to run my aching fingers through her golden hair. She is tall, yet slender, and it baffles me how someone as small as her, all lean limbs and delicate bone structure, is not scared of me. I have known grown orcs soil themselves in my presence, yet she hardly seems to be bothered by the predicament she now finds herself in, surrounded by orcs, unsure of what may happen to her. Caught in the gaze of the greatest orc warrior there is. Yes, there is definitely something different about her. Though I jest with my men, I will take to my bed alone tonight. Unlike most of my kind, I don't have breeding on my mind constantly. I like to play, but I am still a leader, and cannot allow matters of the bed to cloud my judgment. But this one intrigues me. I've always wanted to talk with a human. It is useful to learn about them and study them, but that is nothing compared to knowing the real thing. Yet I had little opportunity to do this, something that has always frustrated me, because humans are terrified of orcs, especially of one such as me. When we have happened across groups of them out there, none have survived. They say that orcs are violent and mindless creatures, yet the humans I've experienced have all been incoherent with fear and rage, often just attacking without provocation. When we have ended them, it is often because they have attacked first. As for the human women, they are weak and feeble. Aside from the one in front of me now, I've never even heard one speak, most of them doing nothing but cry and tremble whenever I have encountered them. This is no different to the ones we have taken today. Already they have worn at my nerves with their constant stream of tears. We will have to put them to work or good use somehow, but they hold little interest for me. Come closer, I say to her, trying not to sound too brutish. She does as I ask, and I offer her a drink, which she receives, though I feel that it is more out of compliance than a genuine interest in partaking with me. Tell me, how are the women settling in? I ask, not because I am interested, but because I want to appear welcoming to her, as if I want to reassure her. Maybe even that I want to find favor with her. They are yet to fully settle, but I have no doubt in a day or two they will be fine, she says. I'm not sure I quite believe her, but I admire her attempt at trying not to sound too ungrateful or disgusted by their new circumstances, here amongst orcs. There is something about her that is so enticing, and I reason that it must be her bravery, as well as that beautiful face. So, do you have a name? I ask. Or is that yet another thing that human men deny their women? I cannot help but take a swipe at them. Her eyes narrow, and I can't tell if she is angry with me, or amused by what I say. "My name is Tara," she says. "Tara Yorkshire." Tara, that is a very becoming name. There are not many things afforded to women, but we do have names, and not all human men are chauvinist pigs. Some, like my father, honor women. He named me. It means goddess of the sea. She does not elaborate further, but her words stun me. And though I don't know the reason she was given her name, it certainly seems to fit. "I am Thanos," I say, the wind almost taken out of me. "Yes, I'm aware of that," she says, almost with an edge to it. Though her tone should rile me, it actually does the opposite. The more fearless she is, the more I am drawn to her. I've never known anyone with such balls. "Yes, I imagine you must by now," I say, smiling. "So, Tara, you are very different from the other women that you came here with. It is almost as though you are from another species." "I am no different to them," she says. "We are all just humans, just women trying to survive in a world run by orcs and men." Her words sting me somehow, though I know there is truth in them. I have heard how human women are treated by their men. Though orcs can be brutal, there is no doubt about that. We do not treat women in such a way as they do. And yet, they are quaking in their boots and crying themselves to sleep tonight, and you are here as if you have no care in the world. I just want to survive. It's what I have learned to do. If they know what is good for them, they will learn to do that too. My eyes narrow when I hear her confession. Part of me wonders what she has been through to be so disconnected from her fear. Only someone who has suffered would be that way. Like a dog that is used to being treated badly. "What would you be willing to do to survive?" I ask, desperate to hear what she might have to say. She looks up into my eyes, and I almost lose myself in those deep pools of blue. Her face remains calm, her mouth relaxed. This goddess of the sea. "Anything," she says. "Anything. Well now, that is good to know. Then would you like to sleep with me?"
Chapter 6. Tara. His question is so direct I am stunned, completely lost for words. Will I sleep with him? He is an orc. He can do whatever he wishes with me. Why does he need to ask? My words evade me, and I can't find my voice. This is not like me at all. My face starts to burn, and my chest tightens. The room is suddenly silent, and all eyes are on me as Thanos waits for his answer. I look around at them, their attention almost scolding me. My mind is racing, but it will not work for me. Not a single coherent word or thought coming into it. This is not what I expected from an orc leader at all. Especially the most fierce and successful orc leader. This is the War God clan after all, the most infamous of their kind. Surely they have not got where they are by asking for things, but by taking them. Though the question is direct, the way he talks to me is respectful, even more so than a lot of human men. Granted, he is ferocious, but that side of him seems to be reserved for the fight. Here, now, he is calm and good-humoured. Thanos is not like any orc I have known before, that is certain, but that does not mean that I trust him. Never could I trust an orc, even if this one surprises me with his ways. I have learnt the hard way in that respect, as did my father. And now he asks that I sleep with him. It comes as no great shock. Orcs love to use human women, and this is something that I have already prepared for in my mind. I can't afford to fall into fear or self-pity. If I am to accomplish my mission, I must do everything that I need to, despite the cost to myself. I have heard the stories of the women that have succumbed to these beasts, but I can't afford to torture myself with them. Now, more than ever, I need to stay strong. Still, the thought of sleeping with an orc fills me with dread and disgust. But if I am to do it, then he would be the best choice given the way he is acting, and given my assignment, of course. This could all be a ploy, I reason, or some temporary interest that he has in me. His eyes bore into me, a slight smile on his face as he awaits his answer. It is the last thing that I want to do, but I need to play the game. It is? Whatever I try to say will not come out as parts of me battle for survival. There is the part that knows that answer that I should give if I am to get through this, and the part that would rather die that sleep with an orc. At this point, the battle is raging inside me, and neither side is winning. As I make to give him what he wants, I am interrupted by a loud and inebriated orc from across the table. He has the face of an orc that takes no prisoners, in every sense of the word, the type of orc that I would love nothing more than to drive a dagger into. "What is it, Pharaoh?" Thanos asks. Even when interrupted, he remains calm. Sat here on his throne, he is far from the fierce creature that he was earlier, as though he is two different orcs combined in one huge, formidable body. "Chief, you do not need to ask this human woman for her consent in such a matter," cries this orc, Pharaoh, who is obviously drunk on ale and victory. "You get the first pick. She has no right to refuse." Roars and laughter erupt, and tankards are banged onto the table as they drive themselves into a frenzy of male orc entitlement. My stomach twists, as I thought, maybe this was all going just a little too well. Now they are showing their true colours. This is more of what I expected from these creatures, and I have no idea what is going to happen to me if they get their way. The one they call Pharaoh glares at me as though I am nothing but a toy to be used and abused. Not a person, not a woman. My hatred surfaces, though I have tried to press it down up until now. But it's hard, and I don't know if I can do it. I make a note of Pharaoh's face, wondering if it is his vile character that makes it so much uglier than the rest, though that is hardly much of a competition. After I'm done with his chieftain, maybe I could pay him a visit, though not the type he would ever expect. He would be a lot less vocal with a dagger drawn across his thick, ugly throat. "Enough. Thank you, Pharaoh, but I am well aware of my rights in these matters. This woman is interesting to me, and I will take from her what I wish, when I see fit." His voice is calm, though stern, like a father chastising his children. The room becomes less chaotic, and Pharaoh grunts before throwing more ale down his neck. When he has finished, he slams his tankard on the table and gives me a final, glowering look. I meet his eyes. Unwilling to yield to him, I yield to no orc. Thanos looks at me with eyes that lack menace, as though his words are made to reassure me and put Pharaoh in his place at the same time. Not only that, but he still acts every bit the chief, retaining his rights as the victor and leader of this clan. Maybe not all orcs are stupid after all. This is well played. "Come," he says. "Take a chair and sit." I look up at him confused. The chairs are far too large and heavy for me to lift, something that he instantly recognises. He points to an orc and orders him to bring a chair close to him as the others look on, incredulous. Taking my seat beside him, he tops up my drink even though I have not taken a sip yet. "We are going to talk some more," he says, his voice low and gentle. "I have had little opportunity to speak with humans, especially women." "Talk?" Now I am shocked and also intrigued. What is it with him? He is so laid back and good-humoured it is unsettling. One minute he is asking if I will sleep with him, the next he wants to talk. Though I need my head to remain clear, I take a large sip of the wine. It is our wine, taken from the settlement today, and its familiarity brings me some comfort. "Well, it seems as though you have found your thirst," Thanos says, smiling. A human woman who can take her wine. I am even more intrigued. He throws his drink down his throat before returning to watch me as I enjoy the wine. It makes him happy and it relaxes me, and so I continue, sip after sip, letting the alcohol work its way into my system. I have a feeling I'm going to need it.
Chapter 7. Thanos. The men may not understand my intentions, but as far as I am concerned, I have this woman right where I want her. I cannot help but marvel at her, sitting here drinking wine amongst this rowdy band of orcs. Though many orcs would already have dragged her to their beds, this is not my way. And there is so much more to this woman than any I have ever known, be they orc or human. There is no way that I will waste this opportunity. Talking to a non-cowering human is a rare chance indeed. I would like to know as much as I can about her, about what her life has been like, what she has seen and experienced. Orcs are rarely interested in pursuits such as conversation, and this is something that often makes me feel different to my brothers and sisters. Valskor is good company, but even he prefers to talk just about orc business, battle, supplies, and defense. Besides, there is much we can learn from humans, I am sure, given the chance. This world was plentiful when the orcs arrived. Perhaps it could be again. I notice how much she is enjoying the wine, and so I continue to top up her cup. It looks ridiculously large in her slender hand, and she has to use 2 hands to raise it to her mouth. I watch her wrap those pretty lips around the rim of the vessel. Ale, I demand, not wanting to deprive my guest of wine. A few seconds later, and a large jug is placed before me. Tara, tell me about your life, I say. There is not a great deal to tell, she replies. Her skin is now flushed from the wine, and I wonder how soft and hot it would feel against my palm. I disagree. From the way that you act, I know that you have been through hard times. How would you know that? She says, her face quizzical. Well, for a start, you seem to know no fear. Back there are the settlement when I first saw you. And here, now with us. She huffs out a small laugh. I know fear, she says, something in her tone so authentic I feel her pain. But I also know fear will not help when it comes to surviving this world. Fear should be used appropriately. It should not use you. Very wise, I say, looking deep into her eyes. She searches my own as if wondering if I am being genuine or merely mocking her. So, you have had to work hard to survive? I have fought all of my life until I arrived at the settlement. Until then, I never had a home. Not until Bunker Hash 75. I hear the sorrow in her voice, yet still she refuses to admit defeat. Though I am glad she is here and glad of the supplies and of today's victory, it now becomes tainted when I hear of her loss. Her courage seems boundless. To have fought for so much for so long and against such odds, a human female in a world now dominated by orcs. That has to be admired. Have you traveled much around the area? I ask. Some places, but not too far outside of the settlement. Sometimes when I felt the need to go beyond the borders of the settlement. Maybe see a bit more where the people before us walked. I remain silent, leaving the gap for her to fill. Besides, I have nothing to say at this moment. I'm enjoying listening to her. I'm not sure if you know, but this place was one of the most influential cities in the world. New York City. I have heard. So many great things happened here. Some of the largest buildings in the world were built. It was a center for business and commerce. I have always admired the architecture of this city, I say. Really? But of course, it is remarkable. Why do you think we have settled here, in these buildings? I thought that orcs wanted to destroy our cities, she says. There is no accusation in her tone, and I can sense it is a genuine question. Many do, Tara, but not all orcs are the same. She takes a large gulp of wine. Where do you like to visit? I ask. Of all the places, it is the Statue of Liberty on Liberty Island. I even managed to get a boat across there once. Truly? Yes. It is the place that gives me hope. Many orcs have tried to pull down that statue over the decades, and all of them have failed. There is comfort in that. She looks up at me, as if maybe she has overstepped the mark. But I am here to listen and learn, not to take offense when she speaks. I've often wondered how that statue still stands, I say. Because liberty can never be toppled, she says, even if it becomes shrouded in mist, or chunks are carved out of it. Maybe you are right, Tara. This woman is truly remarkable. So, are you going to tell me about your life? She now asks. I have no idea why she would want to know about me and my past, but she has offered her own information up to me, and so I do the same for her. I talk about my life, how I grew up in the clan territory, groomed to be the next chief. She listens as I explain how I only venture so far from the settlement. As chief, it is my job to keep my clan safe, though I would love to see more of this great place. And I would like to venture as far as she has. The more we talk, the more I realize how much I would like to have her around me. Not only do I enjoy her company, but she is strong and knowledgeable. To survive as she has done in such a tough world, she must have skills and knowledge, some that I might be able to make use of. It is my duty to do anything that helps my clan. I would like to offer you an important post, Tara, now that you are here with us. Her face suddenly hardens, but she need not worry. I would like you to be my attendant. The silence in the room returns. Must they constantly be listening and interfering? Thanos, says Valskor. Could I? No, you cannot, I shout. I have had it with your insolence, all of you. If you must listen to what I say and watch what I do, then you must keep your mouths closed. Do you hear me? I glare at them, menacingly, before the mumbles of assent start to come. Once again, I am sorry, says Valskor. Surely I need not remind everyone that I am the chieftain of this clan. Do I not prove this day in and day out? Have I not done that again today? The room now falls silent. I have had my fill of these men today. They have done well, yet I will not have my good humor mistaken for weakness. I am their leader. They do not get to question my every move. I heave out a breath and turn back to Tara. So do you agree?
Chapter 8. Tara. It isn't the request I was expecting, though it certainly seems more palatable than his last. Attending an orc can only be a type of living hell. How things have come to this I do not know. But there are worse orcs out there than Thanos. And so far, he has proved nothing but fair, welcoming almost. How strange that seems, but it is true. The orc that sits next to me now is a world away from the fierce creature I witnessed on the bridge today. In all honesty, this orc is fairly decent. Not words I would usually put together in the same sentence, but I have seen a side to him that has shocked me. Even if it has all been a ruse, his intelligence and self-control is still much greater than I would expect from an orc. I was so sure they were mindless creatures, no better than animals. But there is a brain in there that is sensitive and inquiring. Despite having to chastise his men on occasion, he is good-humoured, his boisterous laugh almost infectious. Rarely do I witness people laughing these days, and I've forgotten what it can be like to see the expression of joy, even if it is from an orc. His smile is also endearing, taking his ferocity down a notch. In fact, he is almost attractive. Heaven only knows why I am feeling such a thing, but he is smart and seems to be a generous and worthy leader, one that is held in high esteem by his people. His interest in me is strange, wanting to hear about my life and experiences as a human. Of course, I lied for the most part. I may come across as being comfortable for the moment, but that does not mean I will give away my past. I play my cards close to my chest. There is no way I would tell him that orcs killed my father. It would ruin any chance I have of him trusting me, and I can't allow that to happen. But more than anything, I did not tell him that I have been trained. No doubt he, along with the rest of his men, see me as a weak human woman. Yes, they are stronger than me, but that doesn't mean my skills do not match theirs. They will find this out in time. What I have been truthful about is how the bunker had become my home, a home that I have now been ripped away from. But I can't let my resentment get in the way of building a bond with him. My only concern can be for the mission. I am to be his attendant, if I agree, and this will give me the opportunity that I have been waiting for, preparing for 3 years now. Though it isn't exactly how I want to now spend my days, there is no better way to get close to him. If I am to be his servant, then I must have access to his home. This is what I need. Maybe something has gone right after all. What will it involve? What will I have to do? I ask him. As my attendant, you will take care of my needs, nothing more, he says, as though trying to sell me the position. Needs? I ask, wondering if sex is one of them. Who am I kidding? Of course sex will be one of them. What orc would take a human female as a servant and not require sex? Look, I have never had an attendant before, so I am not too sure. Do not worry, though. I will make my requests when the need arises. You do not need to tie yourself in knots trying to understand what I require of you. I am a good leader, and I will be a good master. Master. The very word knots in my stomach and my muscles tense. Of course, this will involve sex. In the end, he's no different from any other orc. It is bound to happen at some point. I must simply accept that now and get on with the job I have been given. I grit my teeth and try not to show my disgust. I agree, I say to Thanos, and a smile works its way across his lips. It's a smile that travels to his yellow eyes, and they sparkle as if alive. Very well, he says. Then it is time you retired for the night. The stronghold is a busy one. There is always much to do. The fact that he uses those words tells me that at least my job is done for today, and hopefully I will not need to service him tonight. I can only hope that continues, and that he does not call for me as the night goes on. Valskor, he bellows. Come here. An orc rises from the table and comes to his aid. Tara, this is Valskor, an old and dear friend and my second in command. He will help you settle in. Thanos looks at Valskor with warmth yet determination, as if he will not be challenged again regarding me. Valskor looks me up and down, his face serious as he studies me. Then he nods as a way of a greeting, but doesn't speak, as if saying my name is a curse word. These orc men have made no secret about how they feel about me. As a human woman, I mean nothing. Yet here I am, sitting next to their leader, drinking his wine and receiving his full attention. Take Tara to my residence. She will take the room next to mine, Thanos commands. Yes, Chief. And now, even though Valskor was the one that was about to voice his concern about my new position, I am to be escorted to the chieftain's residence. This will not sit well with him or the men, I am sure. Maybe this is why Thanos has given the job to Valskor. It could be that it's because he trusts him as his second in command, or it could be that Thanos is establishing his command over his men in this matter. Next to him, Valskor holds the highest rank, and yet Thanos can give him orders in front of the other men, and to help a human female of all things. Whatever his motivations, I will be sleeping under the same roof as an orc tonight. And not just any orc, the greatest warrior there is, this formidable hulk of a thing that it is my job to kill. Until tomorrow, Tara, says Thanos. He looks at me warmly, and I can tell he has enjoyed my company this evening. And in all honesty, I can't say that I didn't enjoy his. The wine certainly helped, but it was also a novelty to converse with an orc in this way. Until tomorrow, I say, and follow Valskor out of the hall and into the night, wondering what tomorrow will bring, and realizing my mission is just about to get started. Suddenly I am more alert than I have been all day. The mission that has been dormant has now been awoken. The assassin in me rears her head and sharpens her weapons. He may be Thanos, chieftain of the War God clan, but I am Tara Yorkshire, a highly trained assassin and a member of the Resistance, and he has absolutely no idea. Chapter 9. Tara. I am glad to finally be out in the open air, away from the drunken orcs and the attention of Thanos that is obviously driving fury into them. There are only so many orcs I can deal with in one day. I wonder where the other women are being held and if they are okay. I was hoping to return to them tonight to offer them some words of hope, as well as advice for surviving in a situation such as this. They will have to do without me for now, and I will have to try and remain calm and strong and not worry about them. Now that I am already closer to Thanos, I can put a good word in for them, make sure they are treated properly. I hold out no hope when it comes to the rest of the orcs, but Thanos is different, and what he says obviously goes. There could be a chance I could influence him in some way when it comes to the women. I will think on that over the coming days. I take in everything as we make our way out into the stronghold. Observation is now what I must focus on. I need to get to know this place. How it looks, how it works, everything about it. Valskor says nothing as he strides before me, his huge steps making it hard to keep up with him, though I think that's the point. It seems Thanos is the only one that wants me here, much to the disapproval of his friend and the rest of the warriors. If they despise us so much, then why bring us here? They could have taken the supplies from our settlement and be done with it. I can almost feel his disdain for me hanging in the air, thick and heavy, but still, I keep going. Behind me I hear the raucousness coming from the main hall as they continue to celebrate, without me as a distraction now. It is an impressive building, obviously once a government hall that is now used in the same way for the orcs. Though I imagine less governing goes on in there now. There are many buildings that surround it, once belonging to humans, but now where orcs make their homes. Surrounding the area there are huge gates, and I can see the towering walls from here. This place truly is a stronghold, and a far cry from some of the clans that have had to make do with makeshift huts. This is more of a fortress, a sort of orc-gated community, a thought that makes me smile inside. Whatever next? From the number of houses, it is clear that the clan is strong. From what we have discovered about the orcs, their population is always one of their main concerns. Looks like this isn't an issue for the war god clan. They must be screwing and breeding like rabbits. It takes a few minutes to reach the home of Thanos, which gives me a pretty good idea of the size of this place. True to form, this is the largest house on the block, an impressive mansion fit for, well, an orc leader now. It looks much like it would have done when it was built, more human than orc in its appearance and design, all except for the huge doors that have been added. Though these buildings are large and spacious, the orcs obviously require more room at the entrances. We approach the steps up into the mansion, and for the first time Valskor speaks to me. Thanos will lose interest in you soon enough, he says flatly. Do not attempt anything out of the ordinary. It will not bode well for you. Biting my tongue, I nod, not wanting to open my mouth for fear of what might come out. Because this guy is getting to me, and it has been a very long day. You are not special, human, and you must not think that you are. Again I nod. Not special, but trained well and with enough up my sleeve to take out your precious leader. To him, I am nothing, but to the resistance I am worth more than he can imagine. When he pushes open the front doors, the size of the place and its relative opulence stuns me. Though these buildings have seen better days, it is far from what I am used to, grand and comfortable, designed with love and built to last, even through a war between orcs and humans. We climb a large, ornate staircase, and I can't help but imagine the feet that have trodden these stairs over the years. Now they belong to an orc, but they are still strong and beautifully made. Here, Valskor says, as we enter the hallway at the top. Ahead of us is a door so big it seems more fitting for a giant than an orc. This is Thanos' room. I try not to gasp as he opens the door. But I am not. Your room is through here, he interrupts, ushering me through the chambers of his leader. I look around trying to get a sense of who Thanos is, though I am discreet about it. I don't want Valskor to think I am up to something. He is hostile and suspicious enough as it is. I am going to have to be careful around him. He leads me to another door saying, "This one is yours," before pushing open the door to the adjoining room. Looking in at the room, I see it is smaller than the one that Thanos sleeps in, yet much larger than any room I could have imagined. It is well kept and has a comfortable-looking bed, artwork still on the walls, and bookshelf that is adorned with books, human books. Valskor snaps me out of my observations. I will not tell you again. Do not put a foot out of place, and do not expect to be here for long. As I have said, Thanos will tire of you. He glares at me as though I am responsible for some terrible crime against him. Damn, this guy is tightly wound. You are just a human female that has caught his fleeting attention following a victory. But there will always be other victories, and there will certainly always be other women. If Thanos had appeared to welcome me to the stronghold, then his second-in-command is hell-bent on undoing it. It is obvious that these orcs have taken against me for some reason, though I am unsure what causes such disdain. Maybe it is just a natural distrust of others, especially humans and especially women. Or maybe it is just jealousy, because Thanos seems to have favoured me and singled me out tonight. Are their egos really that fragile? When Valskor leaves it is like I can breathe again, his animosity sucking the life out of me in the short time that we were together. I take a deep breath and savour being alone for the first time in what seems like days. I enter my room and lay down on the bed, hoping that Thanos will not be joining me later. I do not want to have to confront that issue tonight, and I have a lot of thinking to do. It is time to set the plan into action.
Chapter 10. Thanos. I cast my eyes around the main hall at the men who are looking at me as though they have a right to question my motives. They may be warriors, elders, and men of rank, but none of them is the leader of this clan. I am. Are we to go around this issue for the rest of the week? I ask. I am a good leader, a fair leader, but my patience is waning. There is only so much I can take of this. The men are not happy that you seem to be giving preferential treatment to a human woman, says Valskor, as if I have not worked that out already. As orcs we are known to be stubborn, but this has been going on for days, and I am getting sick of it. I had seen it in them the first night that she was here, when I had to step on more than one occasion to remind them who their leader was. Sometimes I wonder if I have been too lenient with these men, too friendly. But that has always been my way. I want to be a good leader, and a good man, and I enjoy being both. As I have said, I do not give her preferential treatment. I am merely enjoying her the way I choose to enjoy her. Is that so unfathomable to you? Must we be the beasts that they claim us to be? Even so, she now resides with you and is... As my servant, I protest. There are plenty of others who do the same. Why is this any different? One of clan elders raises his head. If I may, Thanos, but those human women who are taken as slaves are not treated in quite the same way as this new one is. I can feel the rage burning in my chest. It's as though they want me to go out of my way to treat her badly. Must cruelty be so endemic in our culture? Why? Because that is what we do? Cruelty must always be our way? It's hard to understand them sometimes. We have faced such persecution and injustice ourselves, which is why we came here. And yet we continue to perpetuate that misery. It is how the human slaves are treated, he continues, like there can be no other way. He is an elder, here to impart wisdom and knowledge, but that does not seem to be the case. It is my choice how I treat my property. My bellow is so loud I almost choke on my words. I'm far from the laid-back chieftain they are so used to, but that does not concern me. Being true to what I believe is the most important thing to me now. The room grows silent. Hopefully this is the end of this issue. I cannot look at their miserable faces or listen to their childish grumbles for a second longer. Another of the elders dares to raise his head, and I hope to the war god that he is not going to pursue the matter. I've never punished an elder, but if this persists, I will come close to it. What should we do with the other women? He says. They are not as amenable as yours, and it is hard to get them to do anything. I let out a deep breath. Do as we always do. Give them to those that have contributed the most to the clan. And if they expect to get anything out of them, they would do well to know it is more beneficial to act decently and not scare them half to death so that they cannot move. As you wish, Thanos. Anything else? I bark. There is just the issue of what to do with the settlement. There are still men and children left there now that the women are with us. Kill them, shouts someone from the back as a few murmurs of agreement are let out. You will do no such thing, I command. I'm starting to despair of these men. There is no need. They pose no threat to us. Can someone around this table think with anything other than their fists? I bring my hand crashing to the table. They have not seen me like this for a long time. I'm usually good-humored and laid back, but they test me on times. Think about it, I say more calmly. We can put them to work for us, gathering supplies. We may even learn a thing or two from them. There's what seems to be a synchronized shake of heads. Here we go again. We can kill them as a sacrifice to the war god, says Pharaoh. It is about as much as I can take. My chair scrapes across the floor as I jump to my feet. This needs to change! My voice echoes around the hall, and they look at each other in what finally seems like fear. If we are to improve as a clan and a species, then we cannot forever go around killing humans. They may be weaker than us, smaller than us, but they also hold knowledge that we do not. Nobody dares to speak now. The floor is finally mine, completely and uninterrupted. Though you think I am treating the human woman Tara differently, it is because I am interested in her, and not just for what is between her legs. There are so many things we can learn from humans. I have always known that. But trying to get others to see things this way is proving harder by the day. If we are not careful, we will have made the human population extinct, and with them they will take their knowledge and their skills, and they will be lost forever. I know that you find this hard to fathom, but you must trust me. I would not lead you down a path that I did not believe in. Look around at the world that they had created before we came here. Yes, they knew hardship and war, but nothing on the scale that we have. The technologies that they invented, the great cities and modes of transport. I've even heard rumors that there are humans who can heal without magic. Surely not, says an elder. I speak the truth. With the magic fading with each year that passes, imagine what such healing powers could do for us. And this is just some of what may be possible. There are many things that they can do. When I finish, all I can hear is my beating chest and my deep breaths, born out of my impassioned speech. I know we are the War God clan. It is in our blood. Battle is what we have lived for. But this world, this place that has now become our home, lacks magical energy. We are slowly growing weaker. You know this. We have to find other alternatives to survive. My words make me think of Tara, the human female that is used to adapting, used to learning how to survive. There are things that humans can teach us. She's already begun to teach me. We need to evolve. Chapter 11. Thanos. My legs are heavy, and I am looking forward to my bed tonight. After battling with the frenzied clan, and then with my own men, the last few days have taken their toll on me, but after some rest I will be fine. I'm more than capable of dealing with the demands placed on me as chieftain. The men have settled. For now. Though I do not know how long that will last. I've never known them to be quite so questioning of my authority. It is funny what the arrival of a small human woman can do. My good humor has returned, and I hum as I walk back to my residence. It is the most prestigious in our stronghold, of course, and I admire it every time I see it, including now. It is more human than orc, though that is what I like about it. The ingenuity of the humans isn't something that I have made up to pacify my men. Just looking at this building shows how much more advanced they are than us in some ways. I traipse up the steps and push open the doors. I am alone, though Sabet, one of the most admired females of my kind, wanted to accompany tonight. After a hard day's work and a few tankards of ale, I was more than willing, until Tara's face entered my mind. Entering my home, I wonder where she is, and why I was not able to spend my night tossing in the sheets with Sabet. Surely the men cannot be right, and I am developing a soft spot for this human. She is here so that I can learn from her. That is all. I notice the orange glow that emanates from the large room to my right, and make my way there. This is the study, the place where I keep the human books that I have found, and any other items that may come in useful in time. I've built quite the collection, the shelves that line the entire width of the wall piled high with books. It is here that I find her, the fire crackling as it burns, while she sits with her legs tucked under her, reading from one of the books. Immediately when she sees me, her face drops and she makes to stand. "I'm sorry," she says. I wave my hand at her, gesturing to her that she need not get up just for me. "It's fine," I say. In truth, it is more than fine. Seeing her buried deep in this book sends something new and exciting coursing through me. Taking a seat on the large sofa opposite her, I cannot help but stare at her. "What do you need from me?" she asks, obviously still worrying that she is not performing her job correctly. "I have seen to the house and cooked. I've also started to arrange your collection of books into some sort of order." I look at the shelves and notice how much neater they are. But it is more than that. While some shelves are full, others contain only a few books. "I've started with categories," she says. "That's how we do this, as a way of being able to find books easier, by topic and then author." "Really?" I say, in awe of her. "Yes, it will take a while, but I have made a good start. I can show you if you like." Though I want her to, I am tired, and would much rather sit and look at her as she reads. This is not something I have experienced before, and it thrills me to my core. My silence obviously worries her, but I'm not trying to intimidate her. I'm just savoring the moment. But eventually, I find my voice. "You have done well, Tara. I would be very grateful if you could show me how you have organized my books, but maybe tomorrow. Of course, it will not take long. As you probably know, books are some of the most important things to us humans. The great libraries have been destroyed, but knowledge of them has been passed down through the generations. See, this is what I'm taking out. These humans have their own strengths, as we have ours. There is plenty we can learn from each other. How about tonight you talk to me about the book you are reading? I know how to read and write, but many of the things in these books are not known to me. Our languages can often be so different. There are many things that are not familiar to us orcs, things to do with science and aspects of your culture." I notice her face start to flush. "You humans use a lot of words, and it seems that just when I have mastered most of them, new ones appear as if from nowhere. Another thing that makes me marvel at humans. They never stop growing and changing. They start from a very basic place in terms of their culture and knowledge and move to new places of understanding in a matter of decades. Yes, it can be a very human trait," she says. "It makes me wonder why this has not happened since the rift was opened," I muse. She takes in a big inhale and lets it go, and I sense something change in her. Humans are adaptable and knowledgeable, able to create great change, but we are also driven by other things, power and fear. As are many of us. When we are threatened, we often regress rather than progress. That is why humans now seem to have gone backwards in many ways. No one feels that more than women. Every word that she speaks makes complete sense to me. It is like she teaches me something every single day. What she does for me is worth much more than her service around my home and in my bed. The men must feel that even more since the magic that opened the rift affected their birth rate, I query. She smiles, a wry smile that tells me I am right. "What would we do without men?" she says dryly. I laugh. She's funny, perceptive, and wise. "And for the orcs? Your female birth rate was also affected," she says. A part of me shuts down, not wanting to share the details of our struggles and weaknesses with her. Our population is always a concern, but we will be fine. I have no doubt about it. Her eyes narrow as though she can sense I am not willing to go any further than that with her on the subject. "So, are you going to tell me what you're reading?" I ask. I would very much like to know what has you so fascinated this evening. Her cheeks now become crimson, and it is not just because of the fire. The flames flicker, casting shadows over her beautiful face. The way that the light catches her bone structure makes her look more beautiful and otherworldly than she already is. The goddess of the sea now also looks like the goddess of the fire. "Yes. I It is about... What has gotten into her? The woman who just a moment ago was so eloquent and direct. Her hands shake slightly, and she brings her legs from under her, as though she wants to get up and run. Tara, I demand. What is it?
Chapter 12. Tara. Though I have made it my mission in this life to survive, if I could curl up and die right now on this very spot, then I would. I have never felt so awkward in my entire life. And given the life I have had, that is saying something. He's looking at me as though I have gone mad. No doubt he is expecting me to impart some great knowledge and information by reading to him tonight. But the book I hold in my hand is not that type and is probably more useful to me. How the hell am I going to explain this to him? The book is a work of fiction, not necessarily from one of the master of literature, but interesting to me all the same. It's a work of erotic fiction. It wasn't something that I came looking for, but when I found it, I couldn't resist. I've heard of these types of books, but I've never come across them. I have a friend who is in possession of one but treats it like a religious text that only she can use. Books like these are squirreled away and not shared, it would seem, and when things become rare, then human nature dictates they become more valuable and definitely more coveted. Never would I have thought that Thanos would have a whole shelf of the stuff. His collection of books is pretty impressive, even if he probably has no idea what is contained in them or how to use them. He may live in a house built for humans and have a small library, but he is still an orc. I could kick myself. I should have just walked away. Got on with my task of mapping the house, committing this place to my memory so that I can make my escape unnoticed once I have killed him. Instead, I became engrossed in this damn book, and now he is here asking me to read it to him. I must have been here for hours. There are only a few chapters left before I am done. Between the romance and the sex, this book has gripped me. Tara, he insists. What is wrong? His face is growing darker with concern, and I have no choice but to be honest with him about it. I'm sorry, I say. I am just a little embarrassed, Thanos. He looks at me, his forehead worked into a frown. Why would you be embarrassed? I find it admirable to find you here enjoying my books. Have you read all of these books? I ask. No. Regrettably, as chieftain, I do not get the opportunity to enjoy such pursuits often, but I have tried a few, mainly texts about engineering and the like. That would make sense. I see no reason why an orc would be interested in romance, though from what I know of them they would do well to give it a go. But rutting like animals is their way of doing things when it comes to these matters, I presume. I look across at the shelves that I have spent the afternoon organising. I am no librarian, but they are taking shape. Science, history, different genres of fiction, all separated, so that they can be easily catalogued and identified. There was actually something quite satisfying in performing this task, as though I have tasted a part of my own history as I organised the works of the ancestors. It is easy to forget there was a time before the orcs. It is all I have ever known and am ever likely to know, but it was not always this way. And things can change. This book is from that shelf, I explain, pointing to where it now belongs. Okay, he says, looking at the well-stocked shelf. It is a work of fiction, stories that have been written for humans to enjoy and maybe even learn from. There are many types of stories that deal with different types of issues and areas of life. We call these genres. He nods his head, eager to hear everything I have to say about these books. You have an impressive collection of both fiction and non-fiction. That means books that have been created as stories and those that are made of fact or opinion. I see. This is interesting, he says, leaning forward. I have often wondered about these ancient texts. It is hard to decipher what is real and what is not. There are things in some of them that make no sense whatsoever. I could almost laugh at his ignorance, but not in a cruel way. It is almost endearing, seeing this formidable orc trying to work out the nuances of the human psyche and cultures. He sits on the sofa engrossed in what I am saying. There is plenty here that you can learn from. Histories of different countries and cultures, science, geography, and also lots of stories. And what are you reading? He asks, studiously. He has already told me he is able to read our language, so there is no point in lying. This would look bad and not help with building trust. As I said, the book is from that shelf. It is fiction. And have you learned anything from this particular one? He asks. Oh, I have learned plenty, but nothing I want to tell him about. I swallow and prepare to be honest with him. This book is a romance story, an erotic romance story. And what does that entail? Dear God, it is basically, well, humans who fall in love and have sex. My words have silenced him, and the air grows heavy. His eyes roam over my body, from head to toe, and I can sense he enjoys what he finds with them. We sit, the only noise being the crackling of the fire. When he finally speaks, his voice is different, low and husky. Read to me, he commands. Start where you left off. From the way you were so involved in it, it must be interesting. He sits back on the sofa, waiting to be entertained. Though the sofa is large, he still consumes the bulk of it with his huge frame. He takes off his shirt and tosses it to the floor, and I rake my eyes over his torso, covered with muscle and rune markings. Then he kicks off his boots and crosses a large leg over the other knee. He is certainly getting comfortable. My muscles tense up, and I would willingly be swallowed by the fire at my side. I have managed to avoid his advances for days. Maybe my luck has just run out, and it will be because I could not keep from picking up this book. I have never read to anyone before, other than when I was a child and learning the skill. As an assassin, I have spent most of my time engaged in other matters, not tending to children or those who are old and infirm. Taking a deep breath, I open the book to the page that I have marked. There is no way out of this now. As I look down at the words on the page, my stomach flips. Of all the places that I could have ended up when he walked in, why did it have to be the most erotic? Chapter 13. Tara. It is not a feeling I am used to. I have been through many things and survived many things, yet being asked to read these words to an orc makes me want to throw up with fear. If this is what it feels like, to be void of courage, then it is not something I ever wish to feel again. But my courage has left me on this occasion, and I can't seem to find it, no matter how hard I try. Come, Tara, it cannot be that difficult, and I am eager to know, says Thanos. He is calm and relaxed, and his eyes are heavy with something. He is not going to give in, though, that much I can tell. And he is certainly not going to take no for an answer. My throat is dry, and I cough before I make a start. It is best just to get on with it. The sooner I get started, the sooner I can make my excuses and get the hell out of this room. The discomfort makes me squirm in my seat as I begin to read aloud to him. The passage starts with the male and female characters embracing, having realised that they can never live without each other. The man reaches down and kisses her, and she melts into him. As I read about their lips meeting and their tongues intertwining, I hear a moan slip from him. But I do not look up. I don't want to see what is on his face and in those eyes. I carry on, as the characters from my book move their hands over each other's bodies before undressing, as skin meets skin and body temperatures rise. This is also our way, he says, interrupting me, and I notice that he is now sitting forwards on the sofa, closer to me. Really, I manage, as if this is just about him learning about how humans make love. But it is more than that, I can tell. I can feel the heat emanating from him, and my own temperature rising uncomfortably. His close proximity does something strange to my body. It feels dangerous, yet also exciting. What the hell is wrong with me? Surely I can't be responding to him. It must just be the words from the book. Images of Thanos flit through my mind. I had no idea they slept with others in quite the same way. I had always thought them to be savages, not people who enjoyed lovemaking and sensuality. Suddenly I am eager to know what that chest, ripped with muscle, feels like under my hands. How he moves when he takes a woman, and what he does with those tusks. "Continue, please," he orders, startling me and snapping me out of my thoughts. "Yes," I say, my voice so small it is almost a whisper. The scene between the lovers now intensifies, building to the point that I know he waits for. In all honesty, I am waiting too, though I am terrified of how he is going to react. Reading on, I squeeze my legs together, trying to quell the growing feelings that are gathering there. When I pinch them tightly closed, he makes a noise, and I realise he has noticed. We are too close for him not to, and, even though I keep my eyes locked onto the page, I know his are focused completely on me. I feel every look, every shift in his breathing as I read, speaking of naked flesh, arousal, lips on skin and hands roaming bodies. It is hard to imagine how people used to write such things. They are so salacious. Yet as I read, I cannot help but wonder what it would be like to experience such love and such pleasures, and with each paragraph I fall deeper and deeper into what is happening between these pages. As does he. The heat from the fire now overwhelms me, and I can feel myself burning up. I am just thankful that there are not many pages left to read. I bring my hand to my cheek and then lift my hair to help cool my neck. My throat is bone dry, and I hardly know if I can continue. So many feelings assault my mind and my body, and I am becoming confused and overwhelmed at what is happening. His presence is strong, indomitable, as it looms over me. His knees are now touching mine, though I did not even notice him moving closer. I gasp as he pushes them slightly closer, waiting and wondering if he is going to part my legs with one strong, swift movement of his. Hot and breathless, I try my best to carry on reading. He is engrossed in the words, as am I, and my voice turns soft as I continue with the story. Even though the time has now arrived, and the couple are about to make love, her gasps and moans intensifying, I carry on. I expected this to be uncomfortable, and it is, but not in the way that I at first thought. It is not embarrassment that pricks me, but confusion. Something is happening to me, and I don't know how I should be reacting. When he hears me speak of deep thrusts and breathless moans, I hear the low rumble in his throat. What is he thinking about? Does he want to do these things to me? The warmth between my legs now spreads up into my pelvis and stomach, and my breasts ache to be touched. Suddenly I am being interrupted again, and I stop and wonder if I have heard correctly. "Do you also like a big men, Tara?" he asks, his face soft but serious. His hot breath hits my skin, and I am stunned by his question. He has been direct with me before, but never to this extent. The words he uses are so raw and vulgar, but something about them thrills me. I gape at him, his face so close to mine he could easily thrust his tongue into my mouth. My nerves return, even though the warmth and the tingling between my legs say otherwise. But I have never been in this situation before. Plenty of boys and men have pursued me, though this has never resulted in anything more than kissing. My priority over the years has been my training, and my job is everything to me. There is little time for love, and even less in the way of opportunity when it comes to the world that I find myself in. One that seems a million years away from the lives that the characters in this book live. This is the past. This is not how the world is now. I can only dream about experiencing something like this with a man like this. Dream and read about it in books. The life I lead is made for other things. And now here I am, a virgin, sitting in front of an orc who seems to be fully aroused, with one thing on his mind, and something huge growing in his pants. His question still rings in my ears, and I have plenty of my own. Like, how the hell am I supposed to know what I like? Would anyone even care? And what am I going to do now?
Chapter 14. Thanos. This human makes my loins ache, her sweet, trembling voice filling my home with the filthy things her kind does to one another. I'm glad I made her read to me. How she blanched when I did, her cool and collected demeanor evaporating. Her fingers cannot hold the book steady as she continues, the story rising to a peak that I envy. I look Tara over as her eyes are cast down, her face aflame with guilt. But why does she feel guilty? Or perhaps she's denying her own arousal. My smile broadens and I lean back, simply enjoying her flustered face and her lilting telling. She's becoming almost inconsolable with embarrassment, and I want to stroke her fiery skin to warm myself. But I'm already burning with desire. I readjust when I know she's not looking, doing my best to keep my chieftain's resolve. The women always soften my judgment, and this human is no different. Where is her strength and fearlessness I've come to anticipate? She's nothing like other humans. I expect, with the way she mocks a moan of desire, that she is eager, but her frame says otherwise, as if she's protecting something precious and fleeting, something that could be rent from her by force if her master were any less congenial. So, why does she tremble at mere words, and not the fearsome chieftain of the war god clan? Orcish women fall at my feet when I enter a room. I'm not one to brag, but I have never been without. I have stolen countless mates' affections, to the point where I've had to throw my fists and bare my tusks. But orcs surrender when they see the gleam in their mate's yellow eyes. What would happen if we acted out the scene she was reading? I fear I'd break her delicate bones and soft skin. Would she yield? Would she moan with more conviction than her presentation of this book held tight in her hands? Would she scream? As if she can hear my internal inquiry, she glances up, and our eyes meet. I'm stunned into silence as the redness spreads down her neck and over her chest. I want to tear her shirt off and find out where it leads. She swallows hard. I allow a little smirk to form and find my voice. Is it too much for you to finish? Tara shakes her head, but I don't believe it. This human woman is driving me insane. In a way, my men are right. I can do with her what I wish, and I wish for nothing more than to ravage her, to lash her mouth with my tongue until my name is all she can utter. I don't think it will endear her to me, though. My expression softens. Give me the book. I'll finish. Her lips part as if she wants to protest, but drops her gaze and passes the book to me instead. Her fingers brush mine, and I revel in the connection before she pulls away too soon. She cannot look at me when I clear my throat and scan the page. Though I read, I can't keep my eyes off her for long. She tears her fingers through golden strands and looks away, as if the art on the walls fascinates her beyond reasonable measure. My reading is jilting at first, but then I find a rhythm. There is an art to human literature, I do see it, with clever phrasing and easy rhymes. It allows the words to flow. This is nothing like the other books I'd scanned in the past. Why had I never perused this section of my library? And what else did humans do to each other that were hidden in these tomes? Maybe she will allow me to practice these things on her one day. Maybe even tonight. The scent wafting off her is undeniable. She cannot hide her arousal. I pause in my reading, and she turns her head just a little. Her ear pricks like she's annoyed or apprehensive. She lets out a hot breath. I wait a little longer before continuing. These two humans in the story have driven themselves to desperate measures in the pursuit of carnal satisfaction, and Tara is hanging on my every word. I enjoy pleasing her to the point of making myself insane. I've never had to hide myself. Usually I brandish the thing proudly and am rewarded for it. With Tara, though, I do not wish to frighten her. Any inquiry is met with the shake of her head or, worse, silence. It's in the silence that I know she is thinking. But what? She does not reveal. Only pleasantries escape her, ones I can tell she's thoroughly considered before speaking. To please me. As the words flow, the actions they depict rise to that crescendo we are both waiting for. I can sense it in the tension of her frame when it does, and the coupling comes to an end. There is nothing left to read, and I shut the book, keeping it on my lap. My fingers trace the spine. I quite enjoyed that, I say, clearing my throat again. It is different. My kind usually does not illustrate such pairings so thoroughly. She doesn't answer. Thinking again, little Tara. But it's the same too, in a way, only bigger. Finally, she looks at me again, a little fear flashing in her eyes. I'm almost relieved to see real emotion spread across her face, though it was not what I was hoping to find. Her gaze drops down to my crotch and her blush deepens. Do you like what you see? I think, releasing the stifled desire from between my legs. It bounces, making her eyes flare. I want her to come to me and claim it, to see that bravery blossom inside her that I know is there. The fear reminds me of the other's tears, and it makes my gut churn. I've expressed to her, under the scrutiny of my clan, how very gentle I can be. I don't want her to fear me like they did. My muscles clench as I move to rise. Tara starts in a sudden gesture, her quick limbs faster than mine as she tears out of the room, leaving behind a delicious scent I could follow anywhere. The book drops to the floor as I stand. I'm too confused to pursue as I hear the door to her room slam shut. I'm a little disappointed, not for the persistent pain in between my legs, but by the absence of her. She has brought change to my home for the better, in the short time she's been here, and I'd be loath to chase her off so soon. Am I so terrible in her eyes?
Chapter 15. Tara. What the hell is wrong with me? I stifle the urge to scream at the ceiling. I'm flustered and tight and overwhelmed by desire coursing through me. No doubt he could tell. I felt his scrutiny throughout the reading. And that bulge. Thanos is bigger than I expected he'd be. Everything about him is bigger than I'd expect, even for an orc. I want to blame that damned erotica for making me this hot and bothered, but it was his intense interest and deep rumbling voice when he took over the reading that did this to me. I can't admit it aloud. I don't want to. He expected something from me. I saw it flash in his yellow eyes and simply ran. I didn't even excuse myself, but when I slammed the door, he wasn't in pursuit. So quickly he loses his patience with his own clan, I thought. He'd come for me after such disrespect. I still do. There is no lock on the door, and even if there was, it'd be no deterrent to his strength. He could break it down with a half-hearted shove, if he wanted. That's what makes me cower in silence. I could have run out of his makeshift home instead, and met the ire of the entire war god clan. I shudder, knowing I'm safer here, even if he is short-tempered. There's only one of him, and he isn't indifferent to me. I have to be indifferent to him, though, and tonight is not helping. The heat hasn't evaporated from my core. I burrow deeper into the bed and stare at the door with dreaded expectation. Will he come in and conclude our conversation? Could I survive it if he decided to take me? The questions bother my impatient body more, as if it wants him to come in and breach our tentative peace. I couldn't fight him, but it frightens me to think I wouldn't try. He's different from the rest of his kind. I've known this since the moment he laid claim to us. The other women are still alive under his care. We've heard what clans have done when they acquire human women, and it makes even the bravest quake. He's not like them, not in the least. I've been through too much to deny my true feelings, though, and I realise with a stone in my gut that I'm attracted to him. His sharp-edged runes only accent the fierce cut of his muscles. I've seen him in battle, and the sheer power is daunting. I tremble to imagine his massive hands on me, taking me as he pleases. I would break, for sure. Time passes slowly, and eventually I realise he's not going to burst in. Instead, I wait for a knock. Maybe he's being reasonable and has given me time to cool off from whatever that was. I breathe, slow and steady, trying to control myself. My body is tight with expectation. The traitor. I'm furious at myself, which heats my already burning skin. I need a cold bath. I consider that maybe I should pursue him, not for the obvious, but to explain myself. Every time I find a decent argument, I consider how he excited me during the reading and bury my blushing face deep into a pillow. I can't control this feeling, at least not long enough to have a rational exchange. My fear wanes as an hour passes, and then another. I can usually hear the shifts and bumps of him moving about the building, but ever since I ran, it has been silent. There's noise outside, passing celebrations and arguments. Maybe he went out to be with his clan instead. Maybe Valska was right, and Thanos has already grown bored of me. The relief is overshadowed by curious disappointment. Maybe, for the sake of the mission, I should have played along, given him what he wanted. But that's not the art I was trained into. I was trained to kill. My eyelids droop in wait for him. I peel them open, refusing to be caught off guard. He will not get the better of me, and if I fall asleep, my safety will be compromised. It's not just myself I have to think about, and I'm being selfish, if I'm even considering sleeping with him. The next time I open my eyes, it's already mid-morning. I'm up, breathing hard out of fear, but nothing has been disturbed. I only settle when I make note of the silent house and the absence of Thanos' presence. I rub the sleep from my eyes with frustration. Damn it, I mumble under my breath. But at least my body has cooled. I open the door a crack, peeking into his chamber. The sheets have been disturbed since I last straightened them, but Thanos is gone. I'm surprised he didn't wake me and demand something of me. Doesn't he at least have to pretend to be my master? The frustration crawls up my spine. I hate how he so casually claimed me and then leaves me to wonder all night. I shouldn't be wondering. I should put a knife in his back. But it's the last thing I want to do right now. Where is my nerve? I wander out in search of him, keeping my footfalls quiet. I follow the scent of food that's gone cold, a trace of meat and herbs. They might be savage orcs, but they're diligent about feeding their bellies. And from what I've tasted, their food is more than palatable. I find the dining room, or what serves as one, and discover a plate of food. Alongside it is a note in a large, diligent scrawl. It isn't long and eloquent, but it gets his point across well enough. Come to the meeting hall after you've eaten. He can write, which is more than I can say for most of his kind. I hate that I'm a little impressed by it as I sit down and stare at the food. The meat is still red in the middle, but it's perfectly seared and savoury and far too much for me to eat in one sitting. He made me a plate fit for a female orc, not a human. I gnaw on the bread to find the rye full and rich. The quality of the food impresses me, but I don't have time to enjoy it. The note must have been written early this morning, when the food had first been cooked. He's expecting me to obey, and I'd be an idiot not to, in front of his whole clan. I don't doubt he'll make an example of me if I tread too heavily on his good graces. The one thing about orcs is, their fury is a guarantee. By and large, they're an impatient lot, and only have two things on their mind, killing and bedding. I shake my head, banishing the thought. Thanos has expressed a depth to defy his species' stereotype. There's more to him than he likes to let on, even within his close circle. He's not afraid to be brazen when he needs to be, though. I swallow down a last bite and slip out the front door. I'll give him no excuse to punish me.
Orcs. Gargoyles. Vampires. Ice monsters. Demons of the dark. These beasts seek war, destruction, and power. And there's only one thing that can tame them.
Love.
This is your chance to get the uncut and unabridged audiobook bundle.
No detail is spared.
Use discount code YouTube30 for an additional 30% off of the already discounted price.
Go to worldsofprotheka.com.
Get access to countless audiobooks and discounted bundles where I talk you through every last scene.
Protheka's magic is eternal. Audio bundles will make it immersive.
Chapter 16. Thanos. Surely you must appreciate how unorthodox all of this is. They're acting like I've turned a fasting day into a carnival. I pinch the bridge of my nose. Allowing my clansmen to voice their opinions lets them vent their frustrations in a way that preserves the lives of my best soldiers, preventing the violent personal clashes that plague most clans, and gives me keen insight into the morale of my people. At times, it's even saved me from making a costly mistake in battle. It does not harm the ego of one as masterful as myself to listen to the critiques of smaller men. Sometimes they are right. Often they give me a headache. Another elder snivels and whines from his wooden seat, and I give his concern the attention it deserves and turn my gaze toward the vaulted ceiling. We sit together in the ruin of an old human building, with large birds carved into white supporting pillars, and a blindfolded woman measuring the weight of something unseen carved towards the front of the room. There is so much we don't know about this place and its culture. Are they truly content to remain blind to all the opportunities around us? I appreciate that the lot of you lack courage and foresight, I counter. The elder rises, murder in his eyes, until I take 2 steps towards him and he sits like the coward he is. I consider challenging him before all our men, but I have made them this way. I allow dissent and disagreement, more so than other chieftains. I think perhaps I have allowed them too much. For now, I continue to battle with my words. Our magic is fading, and we cannot heal our men or farm this land without it. This human is well read. I almost smile, thinking of the book she was reading the night before, but it is not for these men to know. If we are not foolish barbarians, we might learn something from her. And she might learn something from us. This reply is from Valskor, always so serious and brave, and I cannot discount it entirely. I face him as he speaks. My chief, my friend, I do not doubt your intentions nor your wit, but you must admit that you are allowing an enemy to join a private meeting. Tara is not an enemy. The knowledge is as deep as my marrow, and pretending to consider her as one causes my fists to clench at my sides. I swallow down my reflexive rage and consider what my old friend has said. If Tara were a spy, sending out messages to some nebulous and pathetic human resistance, what good would it do? If the humans had any ability to defy my people, they would have done so long before now. They are not favored in the eyes of our war god. She could send for 100,000 of her people, the finest troops of her broken kind, and I would make the rivers run red with their sacrifice. I have much to learn from the humans, but I fear no orc and certainly no human. It is disgraceful that my own men are so fearful. This meeting is routine, I finally say. Border spats and the murders of the frenzied clan, as mysterious as they are, don't warrant censorship. Even if this human girl were a spy, what is she going to report? That Arshalar requires a breath mint? The elder Arshalar in question snarls, and sure enough, his fetid breath fills the chamber. They are weak, but angry. I have not met a human who wouldn't murder me in my sleep if offered the opportunity. That is just your charming personality at work, I say to him. There is more nonsense, and I ignore it, as is my right. They're stuck in the old ways and blind to the future needs of their people. I have to find some way to drag them out of their archaic mindset before it buries us all. If magic fails us, our strength alone will not preserve our culture. Strength will not cultivate crops or heal the sick. Thanos' human has arrived, a guard calls. Something in me thrills to hear her described as mine. You will say her name. The guard nearly balks, but I lift my chin and glare until he relents. He must ask her what her name is because he bends to hear her and then announces, Tara of Clan Yorkshire. I'm making a point and I can tell that the others are not content. Respect is earned by strength, and forcing them to accommodate a weak human goes against all they've learned from our culture. So be it. They will respect me. I nod at her in greeting. I had planned to seat her in the pews with the others and call on her as needed, but the open hostility in the faces of my men drives me to make a point. She is mine, and they will treat her with all the respect I demand of them, or else. Tara walks towards me as self-possessed and fearless as she was the day I met her, with the blood of the frenzied clan still wet beneath my claws. Her blue eyes assess the elders with candor and intelligence. Already she has shown more courage than a good portion of the attending council, who whisper to each other as if I have brought before them a dangerous beast. "Bring her a chair," I tell the guard. "Set it beside mine." The chamber erupts, and so does my patience. I slam my fists against the tall wooden structure in the center of the room, and the sight of the splintered wood along with my exposed teeth silences the room. "It is by the blessing of the war god that I lead you," I shout, "and by his blessing I will remove you as I see fit. Do not mistake my tolerance for weakness." Out of the corner of my eye I see that, while her fearlessness remains, Tara has angled her body away from mine. She assesses me like a threat. I'm not insulted, exactly, because I intended to be threatening. I just didn't want to be threatening towards her. I relax my shoulders and spread my arms wide, with my palms open. I'm not a monster. Why is it so important that she knows that about me? I want her knowledge for my people, and I want her body for my own. But I'm not accustomed to caring so much about the opinion of one small human woman. I push the thoughts aside. The sun has risen well into the sky, and it is time for our meeting to begin. The chair is brought forth, and she sits with all the regality of a queen beside me. The room is silent. I gesture towards my old friend. "Elder Valskor, tell us what you know about the latest border skirmish." Valskor stares at Tara. He does not scowl or sneer or jape, as orcs often do with human women, but there is something about that stare that unsettles me. It is like a cat watches a songbird. He is my oldest friend. It is only natural of him to be protective of myself and our clan. He will come to understand the value a human perspective can hold once Tara proves her worth. I have no doubt that she will. "Very well," Valskor says, and our meeting begins.
Chapter 17. Tara. I am a lamb surrounded by wolves. Only my training keeps my heartbeat slow and my hands from trembling with adrenaline. Thanos towers over me, even seated. Splinters of varnished wood from the podium litter the floor, a brutal reminder of the violence inherent in the orcs' culture. I brace myself for more fights. Instead, the serious orc, Valskor, recites a list of border disputes and dry political issues. I listen carefully, but there's nothing of note I can use against them. The frenzied clan has reported mysterious deaths, Thanos says once Valskor sits. Have we made any progress in our investigations? Yes. A thin, tall, pale green orc sways to his feet. We suspect poisoning in a few cases. A few of the deaths appear accidental, but in light of the others, we must account for all possibilities. This may be a guerrilla operation. Or someone making an underhanded play for power, Valskor says. It doesn't even cross their mind that humans might be involved. Their underestimation of my species is our greatest strength. I am certain that it is my people responsible for the killings, and pride surges along with the shame that I have not yet completed my own mission. Thanos still breathes. If he were to fall, every human, no matter how demoralized by the orcs' occupation, would see it is possible to rise against them. I must take the first opportunity available to remove him from existence. I should have done it at night. It was foolish of me to read from that book, to read it to him, to allow myself such a shameful reaction. Oh hell, Thanos is speaking to me. I rein in my focus. Human healers. Do you have any knowledge of this human art? Art? I'm confused. Why on earth would they want to know about human doctors? Do any of the refugees need care? We have heard rumours that there are those among your kind who possess the ability to heal without magic. Doctors? Several orcs in the audience roll the foreign word in their mouths experimentally, and I see my opportunity. Of course they're interested in doctors. It would give them a tremendous advantage over orc clans who rely solely on magic to heal. If I can give them enough information and make myself seem valuable, they may invite me to more meetings. I need to gain their trust so that I can pass along more information to the resistance. Doctors use methods of scientific healing. They study for years with another practitioner and become experts at diagnosing disease and injuries, as well as healing with plants and surgeries. Surgery? Physical alteration of the body, I say. A long time ago, they were even able to transplant organs. There are machines some still have access to that can see inside the body. That is magic, an orc scoffed. I shake my head, animated. No, they can do it all without magic. They called it technology. Before you came, they did experiments all the time. Every week they made a new discovery. In medicine, technology, space exploration. A painful lump swells in my throat, and I swallow. We've lost so much to these brutes. You explored space? Thanos looks at me like I built the first spaceship. Are there humans in space now? That is not possible. An orc in the back stands, slapping his hands on the backs of the seats in front of him. The orc in front of him snarls in response. Flying without magic is impossible. It was very possible. You can see it in our videos and read about it in our books. We flew to space, and we flew to cities far away. They had places called airports, where you could buy a ticket to any country in the world. The airplanes could sail through the clouds so high they looked like ants from the ground, and they flew for hours at a time. My father, my voice snags on his name, but I recover quickly. My father flew dozens of times as a child. He told me most people flew at least once a year. Murmurs fill the former courtroom, and Thanos smiles smugly beside me, like I'm a pet who's performed a clever trick. I have read human tomes. An older voice wavers from the front of the room, where water was carried through pipes. I have seen the infrastructure remaining from this. Please, blue magic is much cleaner and more efficient. Valskor directs this at Thanos. I understand the need for healers, but our magic will never deplete to the point where we need to dig into the ground and direct the water like savages. What do you call this? The older orc ignores Valskor, whose face darkens until it is a deep, forest shade of green. The pipes? Is there a doctor who does this as well? Oh, no, doctors are for healing. Plumbers fixed pipes. We had one in our settlement. Everyone has a different job, really. A specialisation or profession. Farmers grow our food, doctors heal us, and plumbers fix the flow of water in the pipes. There were electricians who handled the wires that carried the power to make light. Light without magic? You mean candles? I shake my head. The orcs fire rapid questions at me, and I'm surprised at their interest. I'd assumed their reliance on magic was absolute, and why wouldn't it be? Magic was easier, and it seemed all-encompassing. I saw now that their magic had limitations, and that those limitations might be increasing. If their advantage over humans were merely physical, our resistance might yet succeed. Was it related to the dearth of orc births? The leader of my settlement would know more than me, I offer. I intend to kill Thanos before that even becomes a remote possibility, but I am curious as to what they'll say. I'm shocked they've allowed me to speak at all. Most orcs in my experience have been, at best, dismissive of human intellect and ability. Absolutely not, Valskor almost laughs. Thanos, my friend, this has been more enlightening than I imagined, but we cannot invite every human mongrel off the street within our court. I would like to meet them, the older orc says. Half of the room appears to agree, and the other orcs glare in stony disapproval. We have much to learn about this technology and these doctors. You would have us dig in the dirt like them. Our hands were made to carry the glory of sacrifice to our war god, not rut around in the mud like a prey animal. The humans would be doing the digging, obviously. It takes everything I have inside to keep my face impassive, but this conversation has taken a turn I never expected. Are they seriously considering integrating humans into their orc clan? Thanos stands, and my gaze lingers on the massive breadth of his shoulders. Heat curls in my stomach as he prowls across the room in complete mastery of his clan. Dissent appeased, his people are enwrapped as he lectures them about the possibilities human technology holds for their people. Even Valskor appears intrigued. He is beloved by his people and in charge of the most powerful orc clan. Even orcs from enemy clans whisper about him like he's some sort of god. He is the glue holding his people together. Once I cut him down, the rest of the orcs will fall. Soon.
Chapter 18. Thanos. The meeting has gone better than expected. My men can be stubborn, but the elders are now starting to come around to my way of thinking. Tara has managed to persuade them in the few hours that she has sat with us around the table, and for that, I am more than grateful. They do not trust humans because they have never taken the time to know them. Though humans are not always easy to get along with, it is hardly surprising given what has happened to them. But this must change if there is to be any progression for both of our species. We must all accept responsibility for the world that we have created, and we must all assume responsibility for trying to improve it, for everyone. I've long thought that it is not merely enough to do that for just one of the species. That would change nothing. We both live here now, and without some form of equality and abundance for all, the fighting will never stop, and neither will the suffering. This is not an easy thing to say as the chieftain of the War God clan, but there are other wars to fight now. Tara has helped my cause greatly. She has talked of technologies, skills, and professions. The way she described the so-called doctors, the healers of their kind, has helped immensely. The magic is dying, and we must learn how to survive and thrive without it. It's a hard thing for us orcs to live without magic, to know that soon it will be lost. But there is something that can take its place. The things she talks of, science and technology. Is this not just another form of magic? When the meeting finally comes to a close, I am eager to stretch my legs and decide to patrol the territory. I ask Tara to accompany me, which of course she does. The way that the meeting has gone and the opportunity to spend time with her alone makes me light in spirit. Making our way around the border of the settlement, I wonder what else she has to tell me about human knowledge and culture. Already I have learnt so much from her, in such a very small space of time. Thank you for all of your input today, I say as she looks across at the city beyond. You are welcome. I hope I was of some assistance. More than you know, I say, smiling. Hearing about the different sets of skills and abilities amongst your people is truly awe-inspiring. Then it strikes me that there is something I do not know about her. If humans have professions, then what is yours? I ask. She tenses suddenly, and I smell the fear in her. It is as though I have hit a nerve in some way. Maybe I have reminded her of the settlement, the one she told me she felt at home in. Or maybe it is that, as a woman, she was not permitted to have one. I am sorry if I seem to have offended you, I offer. She has suffered enough from what she has told me. There is no need for me to add to it. No, it's fine, she says. Are women allowed to have professions? She breathes out, a flat smile on her face. For many it won't be the case, she informs me. I have heard of bunkers where the women are treated like nothing but slaves, but not every settlement is like that. So you have a profession? I continue, eager to know. In a manner of speaking, she says, looking away from me. There is a long pause before she goes any further. Like I mentioned to you the past evening, with the books. It is not an official position, but I am a keeper of information. My mind travels back to her reading from that book. How I felt when she spoke those words to me. I try not to excite myself, but it is hard when in her company. In that case, there must be many things that you have yet to tell me, I say, trying to move the subject along. Maybe, she says. Just ask and I will do my best. We spend the rest of the day conversing about aspects of human society, from how they used to organize themselves and choose their leaders to matters of religion and belief. I find myself amazed by her knowledge and her tales and one topic bleeds seamlessly into the next. Tara talks to me of ways we can improve the clan, from areas such as hygiene and sanitation to food production and storage. She tells me that the way that human civilization has progressed has always been through ideas, experimentation, trial and error. If we are to evolve as I've insisted, then there are ways that we should begin to go about it. Now, more than ever, I am convinced that this clan needs her, and after the meeting today, the elders will hopefully feel that way too, though their interest in her is nothing in comparison to the admiration that I feel for this human woman. As the sun begins to set, I suggest that it is time to return to the residence. We walk in the dusky light, back to the settlement. It has been an enlightening day on many levels. Once we have eaten and she is ready to retire, I already feel the loss of her company. Thank you for everything that you have imparted today, Tara, I say as she is about to take to her room. You have asked many things about us. I hope I have given you everything that you required. You have given me more than you could possibly even know, Tara. That is good. May I ask why this is all so important to you? She asks curiously. It is not something that I would offer up willingly to many people, but she has been so open with me I feel I owe her the same. It has long been my belief that we should cooperate with humans in order for us to help each other. Her eyes grow wide as though she cannot comprehend what I am saying. But I know that she does, and that it must be shocking to her. I know that the orcs have destroyed your civilization just as the dark elves destroyed ours, but I would like to do something about that. Maybe, despite everything that has happened over the years, we can make peace and coexist. She stares at me as if I have two heads, and I hope that what I'm saying is bringing some level of comfort to her, even if it's shocking to at first hear. She is speechless. Nevertheless, I carry on. From what you tell me of your history, there have been many wars over the centuries, and many opportunities taken to create peace also. If this could happen amongst humans, then there is surely a chance it could happen between humans and orcs. She's still silent, and I have no idea what is going on in her mind. But I decide to leave her to it. This woman is the most admirable woman I've ever known. Everything about her draws me in. If I stay here any longer with her, I may not be able to contain myself. I want her more than anything. She deserves more than that.
Chapter 19. Tara. He leaves me standing here, still unable to comprehend what he has just been speaking of. His words have shaken me to the core. An orc talking of such things. Coexistence, peace, cooperation and progression. Is this some kind of trick? They are certainly not words that have been a part of my vocabulary or way of thinking. My language is of resistance and death. As assassin is not trained to speak of peace. The only peace we desire is that granted to humans once we have rid the planet of orcs. But there was such honesty in his eyes and passion in his voice. Orcs are many things, and I would never believe I could trust one, but I trusted those things. And I trust that an orc would never be able to act that well. Nuance and subtlety are not really known orc traits. Though, as I have thought since my first day here, Thanos is different to many of them. There is a desire for knowledge and progress, and, despite his fierceness, there is compassion in him. He could be playing me for a fool as I am him, but my gut tells me this is who he is. I am glad he has gone, having no idea what I should say or how I should behave around him when he talks like this. Infiltration and ruse are part of what I know and do, but this is a stretch even for me. Guilt suddenly snakes through me. What have I got myself into? There are many orcs that deserve to die, and that I would gladly send on their way. But I'm not sure he is one of them. I am suddenly fearful of everything that I have told him about. In my attempt to infiltrate and build trust, I have gone too far in the bond that it has created. Now I will have to think of how I can use that to my advantage. Maybe this infiltration has gone further than I or any of my team could even have imagined. His words still swim through me. words of peace and conciliation, coming from the most famous and ferocious orc leader. Surely it must be some sort of a plan. How can I believe him? How can I believe anything that an orc has to say? My thoughts turned to my father, the victim of orc lies. Weeks went by after he was captured on a mission, and we were sure that he was dead, until the settlement received the messages from him. Though captured, the leader that held him befriended him, telling him and us that he would be returned safely to the human settlement, and spinning tales of possible alliances and coexistence. Eventually he was indeed returned to us, with his head in a bag. My father, along with other humans, had once believed an orc and had ended up dead as a result. Now I am to believe that the most formidable of them, one who has slaughtered so many of his own as well as countless humans, is intending to form some sort of alliance with us? It is unthinkable. My mind races, torn between wondering what my next move is in terms of my mission and whether Thanos is being truthful with me. If he is telling the truth, it has the potential to change everything. As the greatest leader of the greatest orc clan, to have him as an ally would be incredibly useful. The other orcs would eventually have no choice but to follow suit, and humans could eventually come out from underground. But if he is lying, it could be the final reckoning for our species. To be drawn out of our hiding places and then enslaved or slaughtered. Orcs would then finally have our planet, and all of this would have been for nothing. Either way, there are huge potential consequences to what Thanos has told me, and now I have to decide what to do with this information. Should I try to warn the settlement in some way? Or is Thanos telling the truth, and a new era following years or war and suffering now potentially on the horizon? I have no idea. Even though all of my chores around the house have been done, I look around for something to do. Anything to take my mind off this. I am always best when I am distracted in this way. Firstly, I pour myself some water from the pitcher and gulp it back, my throat so dry it is starting to become sore. Then I clear away the cup and pitcher and make sure that the kitchen is ready for the coming morning. I tend to the fires that are almost out, adding just a little more firewood to take us through the night, before making my way to Thanos' study. The fire still burns here, so I leave it be. It is not the most important in the house, and if it is out by the morning, it is no issue. Looking around at the small library he has collected, I begin again with my job of organising the books. I made a good start before I got distracted the other evening, and I am desperate to be put to work to take my mind off my troubles and confusion. The non-fiction books come first, as I organise them into categories. Everything from politics and history to communications and psychology. There is so much that he can learn about us from these books, and if he is telling the truth, it would be a good start. Then I return to the fiction books, wondering what he must make of them, if indeed he has ever picked them up. A strange sensation comes over me when I think of us together in here, reading from one of the most erotic books I have ever experienced. Something happened in those moments, though I can't bear to think of what it might have been on my part. I spend some time with the books until there is nothing more I can do, and weariness takes over. Traipsing up the stairs, I already hear his deep and heavy breathing as he sleeps. I pick my way through the darkness and into my room where I undress and climb into my bed. Tiredness overtakes me, but sleep doesn't come as everything swirls around my head. My role as an assassin, the missions that I have been sent on, these have always been my focus. It is what I am made for. But now confusion hits me so hard, and my whole world view is being turned upside down and stomped upon. All these years I have worked hard to survive, desperate not to succumb to the beasts that took my home, my father and my planet. Driven by revenge, taking the lives of orcs is what feeds me, sustains me. They killed my father, and he died at the hands of someone he thought he could trust. As much as I loved him and have mourned him, I have also thought him naive for placing such trust in an orc. Am I now to follow the same destiny?
Chapter 20. Thanos. I'm never one to be nervous. I'm a very confident leader who can lead a group of men into battle with a smile on my face and nothing but adrenaline pulsing through my body. That is why it is so surprising that I feel my stomach flipping as I pace quietly in the foyer of my home. I keep glancing towards Tara's door, but I refuse to wake her. It's taking every fiber of self-control to keep myself from barging in there, but there is something about Tara that's changed my normal impulsive decisions. Thankfully, I hear her stir within in her room before my nerves fully claim me, and I eagerly turn to face her door. I don't know if I should move away, or if greeting her as soon as she emerges will come across as endearing. I'm not even sure when I started to consider another's perception of me like this. Her door swings open before I have a chance to overthink it, and she blinks in surprise as she takes me in. Instinctively, a smile spreads across my face, and warmth spreads through my body as her lips turn up into a devastating smirk. "You were waiting for me?" I curve my arm, twisting my body so that my side is facing her as I say, "I thought I could escort you to breakfast." Her eyes sparkle, and even though I am anticipating a snarky remark from her, she only nods and loops her arm through mine. I tug her closer to my body, knowing that I am only torturing myself as I guide her into the breakfast room. A small feast is waiting for us, made from the best meats, fruits, and breads that the clan could scavenge, and her eyes sparkle as I pause by her chair. My eyes don't leave her as I cross to my side, and her gaze continuously flicks up to meet mine as she piles food onto her plate. Watching as her teeth sink into a piece of bread, a shiver echoes down my spine, and I can't stop the words from spilling out of my mouth. "I want you to come with me again today." She raises an eyebrow, her tongue flicking across her lips and nearly undoing me. "Another meeting?" I shake my head. "I have to patrol, and I think it would be good for you to see more of the camp, meet more of the clan." To my surprise, she doesn't ask any more questions. Instead, she agrees, and a thrill of excitement shoots through me as we rush through the rest of breakfast. Outside, the sun is shining, and the air is warm and pleasant. As I walk alongside Tara, I have a hard time keeping my distance, but she doesn't seem to notice. Just being in her presence is filling me with happiness in a way I wouldn't have anticipated. My home is closest to the stables, and she looks up at me excitedly when she spots them. "Do you have horses?" I cock my head as I lead the way inside, stopping before the stall of my prize mount. She's tall, with swooping hair that plunges to the ground and dark eyes that search my own like she can look into my soul. "This is Petra. She is a nightmare brought from my home planet to ride into battle." "She's beautiful," Tara breathes, her hand reaching up slowly towards the mare. Her arm barely reaches Petra's muzzle, but the beast dips her head down to brush her soft lips along Tara's palm, making her giggle. My stomach clenches as she laughs, and I force myself to look away before I lose myself in this woman. "Can I ride her?" she asks softly, her eyes wide and pleading. I've always wanted to ride one. I want to give Tara everything in the world, but there's a small part of me that fears for her to ride alone. A larger part of me wants to be closer to Tara too, her body pulling me in like a drug, so I tell her, "She won't handle you well as she doesn't trust you, but you can ride with me." She is thrilled, and I rush to ready the mount. Petra is intrigued by Tara's presence, but she holds steady as I climb on top and offer my hand to Tara still on the ground. With my heels digging into the stirrups, I lift her up onto Petra's back and place her squarely in front of me. Tara doesn't seem to mind as I reach around her to grip the reins, her body pressed against mine. I can't help it as I ease myself forward under the guise of leading the mare, savoring the way her body curves against mine. We gallop along the perimeter of the camp, and Tara even allows me to wrap an arm around her waist to pin her in place as Petra's movements make her bounce too much. The position is enough to make me lose my mind, and it's both a relief and torturous when we make it back to the barn to dismount. Tara is still grinning widely when I practically pull her from the stables, forcing her to continue our patrol despite all her protests. There are other places I want her to see. "There's a school here," I tell her as we round the back of a taller building, coming up to the schoolyard. I like to come here and check in with the kids to ensure their education and training are going well. As soon as I come into view, they all scream my name, rushing me, and I drop into a crouch, sweeping up the first 2 kids into my arms and flipping them through the air. I playfully wrestle for a few moments until I allow them to defeat me, and they all scramble back to let me climb back to my feet. "Who is that?" one of the kids asks as their gaze shifts to Tara. She blushes softly under their stare, and I pull her closer to me and softly tell them, "She's an important guest of the clan that I wanted you all to meet. This is Tara." They all clamber over each other to ask her questions, their curiosity insatiable, and I chuckle at their enthusiasm. When I look up at her, though, her muscles have grown tense, and her eyes are cast farther out. I follow her line of sight until I see a pair of human women walking together, one of them limping. I look back to her to see emotion brimming in her eyes, and realize that she must feel sad for them. I make a mental note to address my men later, reminding them to treat the human women better. To keep Tara from feeling overwhelmed, I stand up, announcing to the kids, "Enough questions for now. We will visit another day, and you all can speak to Tara then." They nod and disperse, engulfed in their games again, and she looks up at me in relief. I smile down at her, pulling her deeper into the camp, which is bustling with the day's work. "You haven't told me much about your clan," she murmurs, and a sense of pride rushes through me. She wants to know more about my people. "We were once a great people," I start softly, my vision blurring slightly as I remember my home. "Our planet was wide and flourishing, and every nation respected the War God clan." The soft lilting of voices pulled me from my reverie, and my head jerked to where I heard the hiss of my name. There's a group of women orcs batting their eyelashes at me, but I turn away from them. There's only one female that holds my interest right now. I drift closer to Tara, focusing back on the story. And as we walk through the camp, I recount the history of my clan, the good and the bad, as she listens patiently. Somehow I feel at peace.
Chapter 21. Tara. As I dress for the day, I can't keep the soft smile off of my face. Over the past week, I have accompanied Thanos around the camp, learning more about the clan and observing him as he interacts with his people. Everyone seems to love him, and I realise now that he truly is a beloved leader. He cares for his people, and it's brought down my walls that I had put up against orcs. I can no longer think of him as a monstrous creature who needs to be taken out. I feel close to Thanos now that I really know him, and I can tell that he is comfortable around me as well. When we are together, it's hard for me to remember the real reason I came to this camp in the first place. Every night I chastise myself for letting him distract me from my mission, but I am starting to doubt that I need to be concerned about it any longer. From his actions and the way his people care about him, I'm starting to think that Thanos may be right. I want to believe him so much that it hurts, but I am still not sure. Still, when we go into the camp, I see how good he is to everyone, and whether it is under his orders or not, the human women at this camp are treated better than in other clans I have seen. I know that they still do not have freedom, but it is better than the enslavement that most people have to endure. It seems that Thanos is working towards a life where they could all coexist. Just like the past few days, I accompany him into the camp to brush Petra, greet the children, and speak with his men. While we are walking towards the centre of the camp, I spot a handful of human women who are looking better by the day. When I glance up, Thanos' eyes are already on me. He smiles gently, and I feel exposed as he whispers, "Go check in with them. I'll be right over here." It amazes me that he understands my thoughts and expressions so well that I don't have to say a word for him to know what I am thinking. I don't know if I should be unnerved or touched as I watch him walk away, but I say nothing. Redirecting my gaze back to the group of women, I rush towards them. They look up as I approached, looking both shocked and apprehensive. "Tara," Maria says to me, the only one in the group that I know by name. "Maria." As her name leaves my lips, I realise I don't know what to say. How are you? The words sound weak, but I hope she understands. Her lips are pursed as she responds, I can't complain. My voice drops almost to a whisper. Are they treating you well? We are property to them. She shrugs. They aren't as brutal as I expected, though, and at least here we can eat 3 times a day. There's a brutal shout, and the women's heads jerk in the direction. Maria's eyes dart to me once more as she mutters, We have to go, and I watch as they scurry away. Her words swirl in my mind as my gaze sweeps to where Thanos is standing, his face serious as he speaks with 2 of his men. Shock courses through me as I realise that the humans aren't better off without the orcs. It shatters my mind to consider that Thanos' life may be valuable to the humans here. Do I still kill him? What do I do? I know that the killing in the borders has increased, and that I should have completed my mission by now. The leaders must be growing impatient at this point, but I am no longer convinced of my cause. Instead, I'm swimming in a sea of doubt, uncertainty rolling over me like waves. Thanos notices how quiet I have grown after my talk with Maria, but he doesn't pry. He stays close to me as we walk without touching, completing his rounds as needed. He even offers me a ride on Petra, but my mind is too distracted. I turn it down, and I can see the concern on his face at that point. As we return to his home, I pause outside of the dining room where the table has already been set. Staring at the food, my stomach twists, and he stares at me from across the room. Tara? He says my name so gently as he crosses the space between us that I can feel myself melting. Won't you come sit? I shake my head. I'm not hungry. The skin between his eyes creases as he stares down at me and he sighs. What is bothering you? It upsets me to see you this way, and I don't want to see you starve. What can I do? Thanos' words make my last remaining walls crumble to the ground. The way he cares for me is so apparent that I can't keep lying to him. If I tell him, though, what will he do to me? Emotions war within me, and I feel torn apart. I want to be honest with him, but I still am not certain if it is the right thing to do. Staring up into his eyes, I can't stop the words as I blurt out. My father died because of the orcs. The words sting in the air, and Thanos straightens, his muscles tensing. Confusion clouds his eyes, and silence stretches between us as I wait for him to answer. I expect him to defend his race, but he doesn't. Instead, he stares at me as he waits for me to explain. I suck in a deep breath, relief and fear pulsing through me as I tell him, my father once befriended an orc who spoke of a world where we could coexist like you. My father believed in him and wanted to help create that world, but the orc betrayed him. I gulped. Because of my father's misplaced trust, he died. Thanos' eyes soften as he stares down at me, and I can see his heart break as he digests my words. He leans down, his left knee hitting the floor, and we are almost eye level now. Tara, he croaks, his voice thick with emotion. I swear to you in the name of the war god that I will never betray you. He reaches forward and grips my hands tightly. May my clan fall and misfortune curse me if I ever break my word. My throat burns as I stare deep into his eyes, seeing a fire burning there. There is no doubt in my mind that he means what he says, and the fear that had been pouring through me evaporates. This close to Thanos, with the air charged with electricity from our hearts bared and our emotions freed, my self-restraint crumbles. Every thought and action I suppressed since arriving comes rushing into my mind, and I know that what I am about to do is right. I lift my hands to his face, holding him gently between my palms, and shakily, I lean forward. His eyes flick between my gaze and lips until there is no space left. I pause with a centimetre separating us, my heart thundering as I meet his stare, and with the deep affection I see reflected back at me, I give in. My mouth crashes against his, and I am instantly engulfed in a deep, aching need for him that had been simmering deep within. I can't think of any reason to not give in to Thanos, and thankfully, he seems to feel the same.
Chapter 22. Thanos. My hands span around her waist with ease, and I hesitate. She's valiant and brave, but also so much more fragile than the orc woman I've had in the past. I don't want to hurt her. I let her press herself against me. She buries her face against my chest, looks up at me, and bites. Her teeth sink against my flesh, and the quick sting quickly bleeds into pleasure. My hand tangles in her hair to pull her mouth even closer. "I'm not fragile," she says. "Stop treating me like it." I said no such thing. "You're holding me like I'm made of glass." She gives me a shove and her hands bounce off my chest comically. I'm tougher than I look. I pull her hand towards my mouth and kiss her palm. "Have you done this with an orc before?" My mouth continues to trail a path across her hand, and she must blink several times to clear her thoughts enough to respond. I try not to look overly smug. "I haven't done this with anyone before." Tara's cheeks flush, and she looks down at her feet. "I've never wanted to before." "You're The word virgin dies on my lips. I hadn't anticipated this. Tara is a beautiful woman. She must have had her pick of human mates back in her settlement. I generally prefer my mates well-experienced and strong, but a thrill shoots down my spine at her admission. Everything she experiences will be her first time. "Tell me if you want me to stop." My hands are already fumbling with the fastenings of her shirt. It slides down her shoulder, and I gently nip at the exposed skin. This scene is so hot, it's going to fog up your screen. And if you want the rest of the steamy details, I'm sorry to say that YouTube won't allow it. But if you want the heat to keep going, get access to all of these scenes with the unabridged version of Orc's Plaything on worldsofprotheka.com. Use code YouTube30 for a 30% discount on all digital products, including ebooks and all unabridged audiobooks. Let's return to the story. Chapter 23. Thanos. The sun has been up for over an hour, but still, she sleeps in my arms. Whatever needs doing can wait. I am the chieftain after all, and I'm going nowhere while she is still in my bed. Cradled in my arms, she is soft and slender, her skin warm from my own body heat. Never have I shared a bed with a woman in this way. I've enjoyed myself beyond measure with orc women, that is true. But never like this. Lying next to her with my nose buried in her golden hair, it hits me. Though I have known how much I have admired this human woman since the moment I laid eyes on her, this is now as serious as it gets. I love Tara and want to mate bond with her. I want to spend my days with her, make love to her every night of our lives. I want her to read to me, especially from that shelf, and tell me all she knows of the world. And more than anything, I want to protect her and ensure the world she lives in becomes a better place not only for her, but for our children. Reaching down, I place a soft kiss on her full, perfect lips, careful not to scrape her with my tusks. Her lips purse against mine, and then her hand is at the side of my face. I press my own over it. "Good morning," I murmur, my lips working into a smile. She answers with a smile of her own, and even though I did not know I could feel any happier than I already do, my chest explodes. "How are you feeling?" I ask. "I am feeling very good," she says, a mischievous look on her face. She winces when she shifts her leg, and I can't help but feel a little guilt if I have caused her pain. "Tara?" I ask, hoping she is okay. "I'm fine," she says, her fingers stroking my cheek. "It is bound to feel a bit uncomfortable, losing my virginity to someone of your size." "I'm sorry," I say. "There's no need to be sorry, Thanos. You were gentle and sensitive, and I would not have wanted it to happen any other way, or with any other person." Her eyes are soft and warm, and I sense that she means it. And my answer is, finally, yes. I look back at her confused. To what? The other day when I was reading to you, you asked me if I liked a big, man. Well, my answer is yes. A burst of laughter escapes me and she joins me. Only this big man, I say, feeling suddenly possessive. Yes, she says, reaching down to stroke me. I instantly harden, but I do something that I have never done before. Nothing. Even when her fingers stroke me, up and down, feather light like gentle kisses, I refrain. Instead, I let her explore me and keep my hands to myself. What's wrong? Don't you want to? She says. Tara, I think you can tell by what you hold in your hand that I want to, I say, smiling. But you have taken enough already, and I want to tend to you. I kiss her long and slow, our tongues stroking and licking. Tend to me, she says when we break the kiss. Yes, I want to look after you. I thought I was the attendant, she says jokingly. Today, I am yours. And you are so much more than an attendant, Tara. You always were. But I needed some excuse to keep you close to me. I realize I have let my guard down, but it matters little. I need her to know how I feel. I have been a warrior and a protector for as long as I have known, yet never have my instincts to protect been stronger. This is how I know that I want to mate bond with her. It is proof that we are meant to be together, that she is meant to be mine. Pulling back the blanket, I rise from the bed. She watches me with wide eyes and a smile on her face, as the effect she's had on me still stands solid between my legs. I can hardly believe I am uttering the words, but I do. There is plenty of time for that, I smirk, delighting in the fact that she wants me. Is that a promise? It is, and an orc always keeps their promise. She smiles up at me, but something in her eyes changes when I say those words. I place a kiss on the crown of her head and tell her I will be back with something to eat and drink. When I return to the bed with a tray of bread, fruit, and meats, I find her sitting up, wrapped in a blanket. Her hair is wonderfully mussed, and her skin still looks flushed from the previous night's lovemaking. She eats ravenously, and I watch in absolute fascination, choosing not to partake myself. I have everything I need and more. It is nice to see a human woman with such an appetite, I say. I haven't felt this hungry in a long time, she says, surprised. You need to keep up your strength, I say, my lips curling into a grin. You are going to need it. Her eyes widen and she swallows a hunk of bread. Is that so? She says between the next bite. It is. Now when you have finished, I have drawn a bath for you. Once she has eaten, I reach down to pick her up, but she brings the blanket around her and stiffens. No, Thanos. What is it? When I pick her up, I notice the blood that is soaked into the mattress where she was lying, and my heart almost stops. She must see the look of horror on my face. I'm sorry. It's something that happens when a woman has sex for the first time. There's nothing to worry about. It's natural, she says. My stomach tightens. This is not something natural to orc women, and for a sickening moment I think I have harmed her. Tell me I have not hurt you, I say almost forcefully. You haven't. It's natural for human women. Feeling somewhat relieved, I carry her to the tub of warm water I have prepared and place her carefully into it. Though she protests, I wash her, trailing kisses over any exposed part of her I can find. I would do anything for this woman. Wash her, feed her, protect her, and love her. I enjoy seeing her naked and wet, her soft pink flesh so tempting it almost hurts. Once she is clean and refreshed, I lift her out and dry her, wrapping her in a fur and placing her in front of the fire. Stay home today. You must be tired, and I can promise you, it won't be long until I am back. And like I said, you will need your strength. I place soft kisses along her jawline, and she moans as I move down her neck. There are many things that you have taught me, Tara. Now it is time that I taught you a thing or two. Her breathing quickens, and already I am waiting for the time when I will return to her. I am fine, I can... My mouth meets hers, and she stills. You are staying, I command before peeling myself away from her. I grab my things and make my way to the door before I change my mind, and am no longer able to leave her side. But before I can open it, someone thumps loudly upon it. I snap it open, wondering what is going on. Thanos, you must come quickly. 2 of our men have died guarding the east wall.
Chapter 24. Tara. The news rattles me, perhaps even more than it rattles Thanos. He's confused, but I'm concerned. My group has no idea about Thanos' true nature, and if they're on the move, they'll strike without mercy. Is it possible that the 2 orcs' deaths came at my colleagues' hands? I haven't told Thanos about my job or the allegiances that I struck before I truly knew him. I could tell him now, but what good would it do? The better option is to find a way to sneak out, to tell my group about Thanos and the way he's convinced the others to opt for peace. Who could have done this? I ask, trying to sound casual, though I hear the edge in my voice. Thanos simply shakes his head, obviously stuck in thought and mourning the loss of 2 of his clan. It seems he doesn't suspect a human legion, which I suppose is a good thing for peace efforts. I need to find a way to tell my group about this clan, to let them know that there's no threat here. They're already implementing plans to work together with humans. Not everyone wants peace, Thanos says after musing for a while. Not everyone knows that you're working toward peace, I hedge. In reality, there are already human males inside the base working alongside the orcs. Sure, not everyone is convinced, but Thanos' word is strong enough to hold up against the naysayers. Will my group believe me? I had a hard time believing it myself, despite seeing it with my own eyes. I can only hope my account will be convincing enough to sway them. If they move forward with the attack, there may be no hope for true peace between our people. Thanos shrugs again, as if he isn't actually hearing me, but doesn't want me to feel that he's ignoring me. I'm anxious to find a resolution, and I know that Thanos is too, but there's nothing he can do. This is my problem to resolve. I count the seconds as they tick by. I can't possibly sneak out while he's still here, still pacing around the room. He was about to leave before he got the news, so what's stopping him now? Do you need to speak with your clansman? I ask, careful not to sound as though I'm nudging him out the door. Thanos turns to me, eyes a bit questioning. I just mean, is it possible they have some insight into what happened? Some idea who might be behind the attack? Thanos sighs thoughtfully, nodding. You're right, he says at last, resigned to the fact that he won't be able to puzzle this out on his own. He walks over to me and places his palms on either side of my face. Do you want to come? It's possible the information shared will be a sensitive, but I want you... No, I cut in, a bit too quickly. I don't think this is a conversation where I'd be welcome just yet. I give him a small smile as if to say I'm not offended. I know that he wants me there, but it's not a lie. There are others who might prefer I stay away for such a delicate talk. Thanos purses his lips in a sort of dismay, but he nods. He plants a kiss on my forehead and says, I'll be back when I can. I'll be fine, I promise lightly. Don't rush. By the time I finish the words, he's already out the door. I waste no time in planning my venture. The attack happened at the east wall. I don't know precisely where that is, but I take note of the sun's position in the sky. It's still morning, so I need to head toward that fiery ball of light. Of course I have to do this in broad daylight, I mumble under my breath, pulling on a cloak that makes me look far bulkier than I truly am. Outside the residence, the patrolling orcs don't even seem to register my footsteps. They're chatting listlessly about something or other that I can't quite make out. It's easy to slip past them without using any advanced techniques for evasion. Once I'm past the view of the guards, I slip behind a wall and take a moment to catch my bearings. The sun is to my right in the sky. Just past the rest of the residences, the forest becomes quite dense, and I'll have no trouble tracking down my group, I'm sure. As I'm stopped, I notice the soreness between my legs is still throbbing dully. I think back on last night with a small thrill. I know it's not the right time, perhaps there is no right time, but I can't help the satisfaction I feel at the memory. I bite my lip, reminiscing, when I hear Thanos' voice as if he materialized directly from my memory. I whirl my head around quickly and find that he's walking directly toward me. I retreat further down the alleyway where I'm hiding until I'm cloaked in shadow. There's some discarded masonry behind me, and I clamber over it so it shields me from view. Thanos continues walking toward me, fully illuminated by the morning sun, looking absolutely marvellous. The runes all over his body seem to be spotlit, and although the orc he's walking with is easily 7 feet tall, he somehow looks petite next to Thanos. I feel a desire coiled deep in my stomach. Not the right time. I chide myself in an almost silent whisper. It doesn't matter, though. The sight of him is enough to send me reeling after last night. The 2 orcs turn just as they reach the corner of my hidden alley, but Thanos stops on his heels. He furrows his brow, as if he's just felt an odd sensation, and stares down the alley. He looks directly at the pile of masonry supplies I'm crouched behind. To my horror and delight, he begins to walk toward me. I don't want him to discover me, but every cell in my body aches for him to come closer. What is he doing? Can he somehow sense that I'm here? My heart races faster with each of his heavy, lumbering steps. What if he discovers me hiding here, wrapped in his enormous cloak? I'll have no choice but to tell him the truth. What will he do with me then? Just as Thanos is almost within view of me, the orc he was walking with returns to the mouth of the alley. "Thanos!" the orc calls. "What are you doing? The others are waiting." Thanos shakes his head slightly, as if waking up from a dream. He doesn't say anything, but silently rejoins the other orc to attend their meeting. I count to 10 as my heart's hammering slows slightly. I don't have time to think about Thanos. I don't have time to get distracted. It's dangerous for us both. As soon as I'm sure he's gone, I make a mad dash for the tree line, taking cover wherever possible along the way. Thankfully, I don't see Thanos again. I'm worried that if I did, he'd be able to sense me once more somehow. Within a few minutes, I'm free from view. Only patrolling orcs enter this area, and I'll easily be able to hear any of them coming. I strip off the bulky cloak and head deeper into the woods, prepared to track down my group. Chapter 25. Tara. These forests have grown thicker over the years as the trees and plants reclaim the land. I track through them, each step bringing me closer to my people. The traces they leave are small, designed for my eyes only. A stripped branch here, the placement of a twig there. As I move deeper into the trees, I know I'm nearly upon them. Tracking has been an invaluable skill I have developed during my training, and I know it won't be long now. A few minutes in, and Harold, our group's leader, steps out in front of me. My training keeps me calm, and it is strange but reassuring to see him and know that they are here. Behind him, the rest of the group emerges from the brush. There are around 10 of them, though most are unfamiliar. Harold looks me up and down, and he must be wondering how I seem to be in such good health. I am clean, well-fed and nourished. A far cry from what a woman made to live amongst orcs should look like. Harold does not greet me with warmth, but says, "What is taking you so long, Tara? You have had plenty of time complete your mission, and yet Thanos still roams around as if he owns the place." His dark, unruly hair falls over his face, and his steely grey eyes bore into me. I wasn't expecting a welcoming committee, but I would at least hope he would be glad to find me alive and well. "It isn't as simple as that, "No excuses, Tara. You need to do your job," he interrupts. "There were others I could have entrusted this with, but I chose you." My hands want to clench, but I remember my training and do nothing to show what is happening inside. "If you would just listen to me, I can explain." I say, calmly. There is nothing that I want to hear other than Thanos. The leader of the biggest and most influential orc clan is dead at the hands of humans. Save anything else until you can bring me that news. His words sting. The thought of Thanos not being here is now so crushing to me, and I can't bear to hear the words spoken aloud. He is the leader, but I don't listen to him. I will have my say. It is me that has been made to live amongst the orcs, and me that has come to know them. Humans think that orcs are the brutes, yet they act no better themselves. They just claim that righteousness is on their side. Thanos has treated me well. Surely you can see that, I say, gesturing to myself. I have been given everything that I need. Ah, like your father was treated well, Harold says, a snide look on his face. I swallow down any anger that arises from his remark and continue. I have spent a great deal of time with him and his elders. Thanos is not what you think he is. There is more to him than you can imagine. But you will not let yourself imagine because he is an orc. The fury in Harold's eyes grows, and he steps closer to me so that his nose is almost to mine. His nostrils are flared, and a vein in his forehead throbs. Seems I am better at keeping my feelings hidden than him. You might not want to hear it, but it's true. There are already humans in the stronghold, and he is treating them well, male and female. You can trust him. He wants to reconcile and even coexist, I explain. When he laughs, he sends spit across my face, which I wipe off casually. If we meet with him, then we can avoid further deaths, and our and future generations will have a better life, free of fighting for survival and of the bunker. This is no way to live, Harold. A wiry man who I can't place steps up behind Harold, his face just as angry. You idiot! We will just end up as their slaves. He spits. You've been taken for a fool by a bunch of orcs, and now he sends you here to persuade us of his lies. He has not sent me, and no one will end up as a slave. The humans at the settlement have food and shelter. The standard of living is far higher than that of the bunker. The orcs are learning from us, progressing even, and the orcs are sharing their knowledge with us in return. Though they should be much quieter given the proximity to the orcs, the rest of the group now becomes animated. They are being eaten alive with anger, and that anger is now to be directed at me. Harold turns and walks towards them. I will deal with this, now stop, or we are in danger of being heard, I hear him say. Reluctantly, they listen to him, though the murmurs continue. He turns on his heel and looks at me, a smile on his face. When he takes a few steps back towards me, I heave a heavy sigh of relief. Maybe he will believe me after all. Not so. His hand cracks across my face, the thwack buzzing in my ears from the force. My skin stings and my head spins as I become dizzy. But I can still hear his words, his spit once again raining down on me. You are just like your father, Tara. He was a coward and a fool. I want to strike out, but I am too disoriented. But you are worse than he is, because you are an orc whore. What? His fist makes contact with my chin this time, knocking me to the ground. He leans over me, picking me up by my clothing before punch after punch lands on my face. The sound of his flesh violently meeting mine makes a sickening sound, and blood pools in my mouth. You have been befriending, teaching, living with, and damn an orc. You had one job to do, the most important job to do, and you screwed it up, Tara. His face is now pressed close to mine. My eyes are almost closed from the swelling, but I can still see the hatred in it. Whatever happens from here is on you. Do you hear that? Whoever dies because of your failure is on you. How could this have gone so wrong? Why can't he see that this could be a good thing for humans? Not only did you fail to complete your mission, you did not even get started. You sold us out, Tara. You chose them over us. Well, I hope you can live with yourself, because even your own father, coward and failure that he was, would be ashamed of you. Inside I am now as crushed as I am on the outside, as he pierces me with his words. How could he speak of my father that way? The words orc whore ring through me. Why is he saying this to me? How does he know? But how did? I can't finish my sentence, but he knows what I am asking. He laughs, his face an ugly, contorted mess. Do you really think you're the only one of us on an infiltration mission in there? He says before he drops me to the ground, and I feel a sharp kick to the head.
Chapter 26. Thanos. As if there is not enough to worry about, when I get home there is no sign of her. Marching through the house, I call out her name, but nothing. A part of me hopes she is asleep in front of the fire, maybe in the study curled up with a book. The thought of her there brings a sense of calm and warmth. I have missed her today and am eager to lay my eyes and my hands on the woman that I love. Last night was something that has been at the forefront of my mind, even though so many other things have fought for my attention. But Tara is the one constant that I cannot stop thinking about. Pushing open the door to my study, I find the room empty. The fire has died down, and there is no Tara waiting to read to me from one of her books of love and lust. I am bitterly disappointed, but I am also worried. Something is not right. I can feel it deep in my bones. Room by room, I check for her, but if she has not heard me and not answered by now, then there is little chance she is here. Another time, I may not be so concerned. But after last night, and the bonds that it created, and with the events of the day, my need to protect her is raging. Once I'm satisfied she is not at the house, I wander the settlement, asking everyone that I come across if they have seen her. Each time the answer is no. Now the worry starts to work its way up from the pit of my stomach. If this was a few weeks ago, I would have reasoned that she may have escaped. But she is not my prisoner. She has held me, kissed me, and made love to me. She would not leave me. I am sure of it. I rack my mind, trying to think of what may have happened or where she could be. Though she likes to wander the stronghold, she would not go beyond the border, especially given what has happened today, would she? The only thought that is in my head is of those who have murdered my men, and those from the frenzied clan. If she has been taken by them, then I will hunt them down and skin them alive. Panic takes over and I march through the stronghold, calling for a meeting at the main hall. I cannot let my fear take over, but it is so strong, the likes of which I have never felt before. I wanted to protect her. If she is to be my mate, it is my job to protect her. Whatever has happened, it should not have come to this. I must find her, before the madness that I can feel inside starts to build. When the main hall is full, I waste no time in getting started. Our men are dead, and Tara is missing. I will not stand for this. I do not know who is responsible for this outrage, but mark my words, I will. And when I do, they will be begging for me to kill them after I am done with them. The roars from my men galvanize me further. There's nothing we can do for those we have lost, but we can, and we will search for Tara. I try to temper my words. She has been useful to this clan, and it is our duty to make sure she is safe. I do not say what I want to say. That I love her, that I want to mate bond with her, start a family and usher in a new era of orc and human companionship and coexistence. Not only would these words be too much for them, they are currently too much for me. The thought of her loss is unbearable. Just as I'm about to give the instructions for the search, one of my men bursts in. "Excuse me, Chief, but we have found traces of Tara in the forest, beyond the stronghold." Everything in me comes alert. I knew it. Something has happened. "Show me," I command, needing to see the last place that she was. "Of course, Thanos, it is not too far from the east wall." "The east wall?" Both my mind and my heart go into overdrive. Did she follow me out there earlier? What is going on? I hurry towards the area that my men have discovered, taking with me my most trusted. One of them, Narek, is known for his hunting and tracking skills. If anyone can help find her, then he can. As we run, I realize how close I must have been to her earlier. After the attacks, I checked this area. Had I just missed her? Did she disappear right under my very nose? Just through here, says Narek. When we finally stop, I see what it is that they have found. It is as I feared. On the ground the blood has dried, but it is the color and consistency of human blood, and when I kneel down, I find a few matted golden strands pressed into the forest floor. Tara. A feeling so new and uncomfortable comes over me, the fear of losing the woman I love, my mate-to-be. Without her, nothing will ever be the same, and neither will I. I've only just found her. This cannot happen. Those that have taken her are human, says Narek, sifting dirt through his fingers and then bringing them to his nose. This is not the work of orcs. You are certain? I growl. Yes, I am certain, Chief, he says. I trust him implicitly. He is one of the best that I have. Though it should come with some relief knowing she is with humans and not another clan. Seeing the amount of blood on the ground tells me that she did necessarily go willingly. This was not a rescue operation by those from her settlement who may care for her. She is hurt and is in danger. I must get to her before any more harm comes to her, and I must punish those who have done this to her. This way, says Narek, picking his way through the undergrowth. We head further into the forest for another few moments before he stops. This is it, he says, looking around to make sure. The trail stops here. What do you mean? She cannot simply have disappeared, I roar. He bows his head slightly in an act of subservience. I am sorry, Thanos, but it is true. There is nothing past this spot to tell me where she has been taken. There is no point yelling at him. This is not his fault. He is merely doing as I have asked him to do. Disperse now and find her, I say to the three that stand behind me. They nod and quickly get on with the task I have set for them. I do not care who finds her, just that she is found, alive and well. I want her back home with me, in my bed tonight, where I can hold her and tend to her. Never again will I let her out of my sight. Narek, you come with me, I say. She has to be here somewhere, and we are the best chance that she has. Chapter 27. Thanos. There doesn't seem to be an obvious trail, says Narek, his eyes focused on the ground and the branches that obscure our way. We have been walking for miles, and yet there is still no sign of her. There must be something, I say, more to myself than to him, because I refuse to believe that she can just leave without a trace, especially if she is bleeding. Just the thought of it makes my stomach twist. The thought of her in pain, alone, lying on the forest floor as her blood seeped into the earth beneath her. It is a torture that just does not seem to stop. I should have been there for her. It was my job. Wait, he says, raising a hand. What is it, Narek? More blood. But it doesn't make sense. There should be a more direct trail, but it seems as though the tracks are dotted around, not following any regular route. My senses tell me that these traces of Tara are intentional, that this is a trap. Nevertheless, I do not have a choice. I can't let her die. Wherever they want to lead us, I will follow. For her, I will do anything, and when her life is at stake, there is no question about it. We go on. We move forward, I say, and he looks up at me questioningly, but does as I say. The forest is quiet. No hum from insects or birdsong from the trees. It is eerie, the time when the forest is aware that a predator is waiting to pounce. But I am the one used to being the predator, and I am certainly no one's prey. So on we go. Whatever is waiting for me, they had better have brought everything that they have if they intend to even attempt a chance at my life. My life matters little to me now, but hers is everything. I know that my instincts are correct when a few minutes later we have reached a cliff edge. It was as I suspected. We have been drawn here, and Tara is the bait. Except she is not bait. She is the woman I love, the woman I will take as my mate and breed with. and if anything has happened to her... "Come out, you cowards!" I bellow, certain that they are here waiting for me. "If you have harmed her..." One by one, until there are just under a dozen, they emerge from the hiding places. Humans, all of them. One of them drags Tara, who is bloodied and bruised in chest pounds. No! The larva that erupts from my guts threatens to burn through my skin. Her face is almost unrecognizable, her eyes swollen, her lips split and bloodied. Her hair is matted with blood and she can hardly stand. What have they done to her? I could tear each of them limb from limb before ripping off their heads. Mine would be the last face that they saw, and I would take my time with them. Then I take them back to the stronghold and butcher them like animals, before turning them into a stew and feeding it to their families. Let her go, and I will not kill you. But if you hurt her, you cannot even imagine the horrors that await you. The dark-haired one that holds her laughs. He grabs her by the hair, and instantly every muscle in my body flexes, ready for action. You are going to save the woman that was planning to take your life? He looks at me, desperate to see my reaction. But I have no idea what on earth he is talking about. He looks half deranged, and maybe he is. To threaten me in this way, there must be something not right about him. Tara is an assassin. It was her job to kill you, Thanos. The mighty Thanos, chieftain of the War God clan, he says. His face is dark and twisted, and he is enjoying saying these things to me. Whoever you are a liar, I roar. A half-deranged idiot who has spent too much time underground in your ridiculous bunker. His face settles into a malevolent smile. I am Herald. I am a member of the resistance against your filthy kind. And so, Thanos, is she. He pushes her face towards me, her eyes closed, though there are tears that now run through the bloodied stains on her cheeks. In fact, she was, one of most prized and highly trained assassins. But she has failed us, and now she will have to pay the price. I am sick to my stomach. This cannot be. These are the lies of a madman. Tara is not an assassin, but a brave and intelligent woman. A survivor. Tell her! He yells at the woman I love. The woman I thought might be starting to love me. Her whimpers almost crush me, but not as much as the words that now spill from her mouth. It is true. I am an assassin, and getting close to you in order to kill you was my mission. How can this be happening? She is everything to me. You were my target. But I couldn't Thanos. See, she couldn't, or rather she didn't, though she has killed plenty of orc filth in her time. I couldn't. I changed my mind, she screams. I trust you. I love you. I know that you're a great chief, and believe that you're going to fulfill your dream of coexisting. I love you, Thanos, please. You have to believe me, she sobs. The one called Herald kicks her, and the scream that leaves me is from a part of me that I have never even known. I rush towards her, but he pulls out a knife, dragging it loosely at across her neck enough to draw blood. Move any further and she'll die, he spits. Ordinary weapons may not penetrate your tough skin, but I'll have no problem killing her. It is all that is needed to stop me in my tracks. Was it you? Are you behind the killings? Yes, he sneers. Of course we are, you stupid orc. That is what we do. We kill your kind. You may think you have the advantage, that we are the ones inferior to you and huge bodies. But we have our ways, and no orc is safe while we are fighting the fight. We will rid this planet of you. It may take decades, but we will do it. And when we are dead and buried, there will be others that follow us. Earth belongs to us, and you have never been welcome. I grit my teeth. This human has pushed me to my limits. Looking at Tara, my heart bleeds. I could be on him within a second or two, but I cannot take that risk with the knife at her neck. I never felt so helpless and so desperate. I am Thanos, and I am used to taking what I wish, when I wish to do so. Now I am in the hands of someone else, a human, and my heart is in the hands of another. What do you want me to do? I ask her.
Chapter 28. Tara. I shake my head at him, his eyes pleading with me to tell him what to do. "Don't do what they ask, Thanos," I scream. Once again, I feel a blow from Harold as his hand meets my face. My skin erupts in pain, but I remember my training. I breathe into it and do not let it take me over. Thanos shouts so loud I can almost feel it in my chest, and I feel the pain and the desperation in his voice. Despite everything, he wants to protect me. He has shown me and told me how much he cares, and his cries now speak of this. I want to tell him that I will be fine, and that it is him I am worried for. I have seen what these men do to orcs, and the thought of those things happening to Thanos, the orc that has stolen my heart, is too much to bear. "Put down your weapons!" Harold barks at Thanos and Narek. His face is still twisted with hatred, and it's an ugliness that sickens me. I wonder how it was that I never saw this before. The resistance was my life. I would have done anything for these men, my comrades. Now they seem like monsters. Thanos does as Harold asks, and I know it is only for me. He would never surrender a weapon in any other circumstance. The guilt almost kills me. How must he feel, knowing that it was my intention to kill him? Yet here he is, fighting for me in any way he can. "Put it down!" Thanos orders Narek, who is still clutching his weapon. "Are you really going to do this for a human woman?" Narek asks, looking at his chieftain in a less than subservient way. His attitude shocks me, but not as much as it shocks Thanos, judging by his face. "I said drop your weapon, Narek," Thanos commands through gritted teeth. I can't imagine Thanos usually has to ask twice when it comes to giving his men instructions, but there is something about Narek that is challenging him. He only stares at a weaponless Thanos and grins. This is surely more than a moment of disobedience. My heart races. What if the other person in the clan that was feeding the resistance with information wasn't a human? It was Narek. I'm about to warn Thanos about the next act of treachery that he has suffered, but Harold blocks my screams, his hand clasping over my mouth. I try to work my way from him, but it is no use. Having taken so many blows, I am weaker than I would normally be, and can't throw him from me. "I am asking you one last time, Thanos. Are you sure you want to do this because of her? Is coexistence really something that you believe can happen and will work?" Narek says, as though he is not speaking to his chieftain. It is a bold move, questioning Thanos in this way. One which surely would lead to some form of punishment if the circumstances were different. "You are forgetting your place, Narek," Thanos says. "I have given you an order." My heart quickens when Narek points his unsurrendered weapon at Thanos, stabbing him in the shoulder with it. The look on his chieftain's face is one of pure bewilderment. How could Narek turn on his leader in this way? The wound weeps blood, but it is nothing that Thanos can't take. I know his body, and it is strong. Still, I want to go to him. Seeing him like this is breaking my heart. "You are a great leader, Thanos, and I have admired you for many years, but you have grown weak," Narek says, his blade still pointed towards him. The contempt in his voice is unmistakable. "Why would you do this, Narek? Betray your own clan like this?" Thanos asks. Tears stream down my sore and swollen face. Thanos has been betrayed twice, by the woman he had grown to love, and by one of his most trusted warriors. He has huge shoulders, yet this is a lot for them to carry. Narek's laugh is deep and mocking. "Me betray the clan? You are so caught up in your own world, and with your human whore, that you cannot see that you are the one that has betrayed us. How can you even begin to trust and work with humans?" Somehow I manage to work my teeth into Harold's hand. I am so forceful with my bite that the metallic taste of his blood seeps into my mouth. He roars and pulls his hand away. Finally, free to speak, I scream at Narek, so hard I feel I might tear my throat. "You are doing the same. You are working with humans, killers. These men killed the orcs from your clan and the frenzied clan. They are murderers intent on seeing an end to your species. It is Thanos who has the best interests of the orcs at heart. He is doing everything for the clan. He always has. My face stings with Harold's next slap. But I am used to it by now, and I will not let this bastard win. My priorities may have changed, but everything else remains. I am still an assassin. I am still strong and highly trained. I can survive Harold and his fists. You should stop with your wishful thinking, Tara. It's becoming tiresome. There is only one future for the orcs on this planet, and that is annihilation, not coexistence with humans. You are as foolish and naive as your father, and now you're going to end up just the same as he did, Harold says. It is now that it hits me. You're the one who killed my father, I realise. The way he grins when he speaks brings with it so many feelings. I can't contain them. Yes, of course I am. Your father was making plans with orcs. He had to be stopped, he sneers. He was a member of the resistance, as were you. You failed in your missions and you betrayed your kind. The orcs have taken enough from us, and now you wish to give them more. Why? Why are you doing this? Why are you choosing violence and war when things could be made so much better for all of us? You know the way we live. You know how things used to be. They could be like that again. There is enough knowledge and skill between us to make great changes. It is unfathomable to me why there must be such hardship when a better future could await us all. There has been much bloodshed and many things that will be hard to forgive and forget. But as Thanos has reminded me, it has been done before. Conflicts have been settled. New worlds have been built. Why must humans like Harold and orcs like Narek refuse to see the potential in putting an end to all of this suffering? Harold answers me with a kick, and when I fall to ground, I feel I could stay there forever and never get up. But I won't. No matter how hard I fall, I always get back up. I just don't know how I'm going to do it.
Chapter 29. Thanos. When she hits the ground, all I can think of is getting to her, but Narek has other ideas. The slash of the metal across my back brings a pain I cannot ignore, and I drop to my knees. A hot river of hot blood flows down my skin, and the burning that now scorches my entire back feels like a red-hot poker is being held there. But I must get to her, even if it is on my hands and knees. Narek's feet press into the earth beside me. I look up at him and watch him lick my blood from his blade. I would never have believed that he would be capable of such betrayal. He was one of my most trusted men. After everything you have achieved, a human woman will be your downfall, he scoffs before marching over to the humans. He says this as if it is something to be ashamed of. Little does he know that a human woman is worth dying for. Tara Yorkshire is the most precious thing I have ever known. I thought the clan was everything to me, and they are. But without Tara, even that would become empty and void. I was made to be a leader. This was always made clear to me, and I believe I have done the best job that I could with it. But since meeting her, I realize I am made for other things too. I am made for loving and protecting her, for learning from her, and bringing our people together. This seems far from likely here now, but it was more than just a dream. I am sure of it. Narek addresses the humans, his voice harsh and unfriendly. Our cooperation ends here. There is no possibility of coexistence. We do not need or want you. Harold's voice reawakens the fire in me. You do not need to tell us that, Orc. We have only acted in our own self-interest here. Why would we want to coexist with orcs such as you? This man really is one of the worst examples of the human race. There is a cruelty and malignancy that is so embedded in him. Nothing like the calm and inquiring Tara. Narek glares and presses his foot down on Tara. As I watch them, my eyesight wanes and my head becomes lighter. But Narek in playing with her, and my anger surges forth. As he rolls over the woman I love, I try to stand. Fear for what he will do to her floods me, and I feel as though I am helpless to stop him. How have I been reduced to this? I've never felt more useless. If Harold is one of the worst of the humans, then Narek now acts like the worst of the orcs. Not only has he betrayed and struck his leader, He is willing to torture a wounded human woman. Just watching him makes me feel ashamed to be one of his kind. It is no wonder humans feel such hatred for us. Since arriving here, we have done nothing but treat them badly. We should have known better. We should have been better. Instead, we chose to place the fear, prejudice, and persecution that we experienced from the elves onto humans. War has been our way. Battle has been our lifeblood. We have killed humans and orcs alike, but we must change if any of us are to live, because what we do now cannot be called living. It is survival, a bitter contest for supplies. There must be more that we are capable of. Tara spits on Narek's feet, making him angry. "Human bitch!" he cries, raising his sword ready to bring down upon her. There is no way I can let that happen. I roar as I push myself to stand and stop him from hurting her. How I manage it, I am not quite sure, but I reach Narek and push him away. She screams as the sword misses her head so narrowly, my blood turns from hot to cold. To see her come so close to death is the worst thing I've ever experienced. Pain pricks at my skin again, and when I turn, the humans are there, pushing and stabbing with their weapons. Blood gushes from the wounds, and I know that the weapons they wield are capable of killing me. These are orc killers, after all. But Narek is my first priority. He means to kill Tara, and he is capable of so much more than these humans are. Every wound bites at me, making me slow and less powerful. I drop to one knee, barely able to support myself. Narek raises his sword above my head, and the scent of death pervades me. I take one last look at her, and hope that she can forgive me for letting it all come to this, for not protecting her. It is true what they say. The final moments are indeed slower, as if time itself stands still, and the life that is about to leave the body takes its last glimpses of the world through my eyes. And yet there is no fear. Just stillness and the sorrow that comes from not being able to live out the dreams that had so recently been given to me. The sword is almost upon my neck, but I do not close my eyes. I will witness the man and the weapon that will strike me down. That is an orc warrior's way. But the metal does not meet my skin. Instead, Narek falls, an arrow through his heart and the blood pooling at his chest. He collapses to the ground, his chest gurgling as his heart bleeds out. It is a sound I've heard many times. He will not return from this. Arrows rain down upon us, taking the humans down in one fell swoop. I need to get to Tara, which I finally managed to do, pushing myself along the ground and throwing my body over hers to shield her. Beneath me, she is cold and still, her body having taken such a beating she can hardly move. Next to her, Harold lays with an arrow to his neck. Though I am glad that he is dead, I would have liked to have been the one that did it. It would have taken a lot longer than this if I had gotten my chance with him. When the arrows stop and I look up, grateful and relieved not to have been hit, I look back to see our rescuers. It is hard to believe, but I know it is them, even though my energies are low and my eyesight weak. On the other side of the cliff are the frenzied clan. They put down their bows now that all of the humans and Narek are dead. There are not enough words to convey my gratitude to them. Whatever happens to me is of no consequence, but beneath me Tara is alive, and that is all I care about. When I try to call out to them, the words I hear are long, drawn, and fuzzy. Dark spots float across my eyes. They grow and grow, until there is nothing but blackness, a ringing in my ears and her name in my mind before it shuts down. Tara.
Chapter 30. Tara. It is the third day that I have sat here, and each day I hope it will be the one when he opens his eyes. Though a healer and a human doctor have told me that he is going to be okay, I can't believe this until I see it. But they were adamant that he just needed to rest, and that with me at his side, he would emerge from this unconsciousness eventually. And so this is the only thing I can do. Watch him, wash him, read to him. As I continue the book, I am reading to Thanos. My eyes flit from the page to him. It seems such a natural reaction now that I can instantly find the next words as I read. When I turn the page to a new chapter, I swear I see the twitch of his fingers. I set down the book and watch, certain that I'm right. I saw it. His eyes then flicker, and my heart leaps. I look down at his huge bare chest covered in the markings, and then I pull back the covers to see it again here. A leg muscle spasms. When my eyes return to his face, I look into deep yellow eyes. "Thanos!" I cry, tears springing to my eyes and my heart in my mouth. My hand is swallowed by his and he squeezes it gently. "Tara, thank the—" "Shh, don't talk," I instruct. "You need to rest." "Oh, Thanos, you have no idea how much I have wanted you to wake up." He smiles. "Can I ask for some water?" he jokes. "You can," I say, smiling back at him. I pour him some and hold it to his mouth. He sips slowly, and I can see the relief that it brings him. "Drink, you have been here asleep for 3 days and will need it." I am overwhelmed with joy and relief. Never would I have thought I could feel this way about an orc, but Thanos has changed that. Losing him was not something I was willing to do. In such a short space of time, this orc has become so important and irreplaceable to me. He looks up at my still battered and bruised face and brings a hand softly to it. "I am fine," I reassure him. "Just superficial wounds. I'm a survivor, remember?" I know how I must look to him. My eyes are swollen and dark, my skin covered in bruises and cuts. "I do," he says. "But that does not mean that I have to like it. Seeing that animal treat you that way made me so furious, and there was nothing I could do to stop him." His eyes now take on a look so different from that he just woke with. "Don't think on that now. You need to save your energy to heal. Harold is dead, as are his men. I am just sorry that I did not get to do it myself." "As am I," he says, his eyes narrowing. "How are you feeling?" I ask. "I thought I was not allowed to talk," he says. Seeing his good humour return tells me everything I need to know, and it thrills me. After everything he has been through, he is still the Thanos that I know and love. It seems that nothing can bring this chieftain down for long. "I feel good, Tara. In fact, I have never felt better," he says. "Well, I am sure that can't be true," I say, shooting him a look. "You have a very long and deep wound on your back that tells me so. Seeing you here, alive and well with me, that is all I could ever ask for. I feel wonderful. If you are okay, then I am well also." My heart bursts at the authenticity and gentleness of this orc. Everything that he says and does lets me know how much I am loved and valued by him. "We were lucky, Thanos. The frenzied clan came to our rescue. They heard us in the forest and saw what Narek was doing. Apparently, betrayal is not something they take lightly, which is why they struck out at him." He looks up at me, and his face is almost proud. "Not all orcs are the same, in the same way that not all humans are the same," he says, stroking my arm. "You lost so much blood, and I was so worried. But the frenzied clan were in the forest accompanying their healer and a human that they have in their clan. He is a doctor. They were collecting herbs and foraging for potential medicines." "The frenzied clan also have humans?" "Yes, and they are working together, just as you have been doing here. They healed you, Thanos. The magic from the healer stopped your bleeding, while the skills of the doctor helped with your wounds." "This is better news than I could have ever hoped for," he says. "See, there truly is a future for us together, orcs and humans coexisting, sharing skills and knowledge." "I know, Thanos. Maybe it is finally time." His smile lights up his face, yet there is still something that presses at me. He knows who and what I am now, and he knows why I agreed to be his attendant here at his residence. "Thanos, can you ever forgive me? I lied to you and I can't seem to forgive myself. I am not like Harold and those men, Thanos. Please, you have to believe me. The thought of losing you has been torture," I plead. His hand caresses my cheek, Tara, it is enough that you're here and that you love me. We have all done things to survive in this world, and we have all got blood on our hands in some form or another. But things will change now. There is nothing to forgive. Whatever has been done exists in the past. I am overwhelmed by him. He is better than any man, human or orc, that I have ever known. I love you, Thanos. And I love you, he says. I lean over and place my lips to his, my hands clasping his face. I had worried that I would never get to feel these lips again, and I never want it to end. The feel of our mouths together brings back memories of our time together, and hope for what may come. Thanos pulls away and looks up at me. For a moment, I worry that he may have changed his mind, and that my betrayal is just too much for him to live with. But though the look in his eyes is serious, it is also filled with love. Tara, I need to ask you something. My heart misses a beat, but he deserves an answer to any questions that he still may have. I owe him that much at least. I ready myself for what comes next and prepare to answer him honestly. Tara, would you please be at my side forever, as my mate? His beautiful eyes lock onto mine, and I feel as though I could lose myself in them for eternity. My chest bursts with love and admiration for him, and I feel as though I am soaring, a happiness that I have never felt before and could only ever imagine. Yes, of course I will, I say before pressing my lips to his again. There is nothing that I want more.
Chapter 31. Thanos. Will you always ogle me as I work? She asks. She must feel my eyes on her as she bends down, placing wood in the fireplace. Absolutely. It will be my right, I say, smiling. And in this new age of equality, then surely it will be mine too, she says, turning and looking me up and down. I would expect nothing less, I reply. She walks over to the sofa, leans down and places a deep kiss on my mouth. The taste of her, the feel of her makes me want to devour every last part of her. My hands travel down to her shapely behind, and she promptly removes them. Now, you have been instructed to rest. That means no work and no play. I'm fine, I insist. The doctor and healer have told me so. It has been days since I woke, and I am eager to get back to it. I bet you are. Well, I am in charge now, and I insist that you rest for a few hours at least. Then later you can help me cook, if you are up to it, that is. Her teasing makes me hard, her smart mouth and determined nature. My mate-to-be is a force to be reckoned with. I can assure you I'm up to it, I say, smirking. Good, she says. Because I'm almost finished with the chores, and then maybe we could spend some time together, here in the study. Will you read to me again? I ask, feeling myself stiffen further. All in good time, Thanos, she says, kissing my head before leaving me alone in front of the growing fire. She returns an hour or so later, and I am surprised that I have fallen asleep in front of the fire. I feel her curl up beside me on the sofa, placing her legs over mine. I don't know what came over me, I confess. Maybe it is the feeling of comfort that now enables me to fall asleep during the afternoon. Running my hand up and down her shins, I notice how natural this feels. I cannot wait to spend the rest of my life doing it. Tell me, what do you want, Tara? What do you mean? All that time spent in the bunker, living how you did. There must have been something that kept you going, apart from survival and revenge. She heaves out a breath and looks up at the ceiling. I suppose all I ever wanted was freedom. Freedom from the limitations of the bunker, from the orcs, and from an existence of hardship. A smile comes across her face and she looks at me. I wanted to know love, yet never thought that would happen. And I wanted to be able to roam, however and wherever I wanted to go. No place in particular, wherever my instincts took me. And you. I never really had any other desires other than the survival of the clan. until I met you, and then I knew that the unspoken desire to learn from humans was real. I would like to be free myself sometimes, take off and sleep under the stars, learn about what exists beyond our borders. Maybe we could do that someday. You are a chieftain after all, and I will be the chieftain's mate, she says, grinning. Somehow this feels more possible now that I have her, as if the world that I once knew was bound by rules and limitations that I could not see beyond. Now, anything seems possible. We spend the next few hours talking of the things we had not dared to say to anyone else before, hopes and desires that had been swept under the carpet. Speaking them aloud seems to breathe new life into them, and it excites me. When it is time to cook the evening meal, I assist her. I wrap my arms around her as she stands at the chopping board before taking the knife from her hand and taking over the chore with her nestled inside me. It is the best meal I have ever tasted, cooked and prepared by both of our hands. If this is what life together will be like, I am ready. The night now upon us, I am desperate to feel her next to me again in the bed again. Leading her by the hand, I make my way upstairs. You will stay with me tonight? I ask. Very well, but remember you are strictly forbidden from exerting yourself, she says, reading my mind. But you are not, I say, pulling her into the room. And besides, I need you to undress me now, don't I? I can't believe I'm falling for this, she says as she helps me off with my shirt and then my pants. Her hands roam over my chest and her eyes are on my solid length. You can do whatever you want of me, I whisper into her ear before climbing onto the bed. I lie there and watch as she takes me in, her skin flushing and her breathing deepening. She licks her bottom lip before biting it and then starts to peel of her clothes. Unfortunately, what Tara does to me is too freaky for YouTube to withstand. But if you want to hear all about it, find the unabridged version of this audiobook on worldsofprotheka.com for 30% off when you use the discount code YouTube30. I know you're dying to know, even half as much as I am, and I would tell you every last thing right here, right now, if I could. But don't worry. I'll be waiting to tell you all about it. So go to worldsofprotheka.com and remember, I'm waiting. For now, we shall return to the story. We drink from each other until we are spent, and she turns and crawls under my arm. My orc, she says, and I smile and pull her close. My human. Chapter 32. Thanos. The elders form a circle around us, just me and her at its center. I've never seen her more beautiful than she looks today, her hair placed delicately on top of her head in loose curls, exposing her elegant neck and creamy shoulders. The dress that she wears is simple and as blue as her eyes. Tara, my goddess of the ocean. One day I will take her there and see her amongst its waves. This is the final part of the ceremony where traditionally the blood exchange takes place. But as this is a human and orc alliance, this will now change. I've already bonded as much as I need to. Intimacy, constant connection, and licking are what helps. But the blood exchange is the seal. Now, just as with everything else, Tara and myself have done things differently. Our way. Surrounded by the clan as well as the leaders of the frenzied clan and the humans we have gathered, we have said our vows just as humans do. In them, we have promised love, respect, friendship, and trust. Now, with the lighting of a candle and the seal of a kiss, we have become one. The clan will enjoy a day of celebrations, yet I am eager to get my mate to myself. Tara insists that we dance until the sun begins to set, and then the clan can continue as they wish. Reluctantly, I agree, though I know she is right. We sit at the ceremonial table, the candle burning brightly before us after we have danced for hours. Congratulations, Thanos, says Valskor, and of course to the beautiful Tara. Thank you, old friend, I say, and I would like to take this opportunity to say I am completely behind you and your future plans for the clan, Chief. I am glad to hear it, Valskor. I need my most valued and trusted men with me at such a time of change. You have me, Thanos, as do you, Tara. Thank you, Valskor. I know times of change bring fear and challenges, yet I feel we can overcome them, Tara replies. I look at my mate and smile. If anyone can overcome fear and challenge, it is her. Well said, Tara, I say proudly. Now, Valskor, if you do not mind, I would like to escort my mate back to our home. Of course, he says, nodding at each of us before departing. I stand and make my announcement to the crowd, thanking them for their attendance and their well wishes, before leading Tara back to the house, desperate to be alone with her. It used to be customary for the new husband to carry his wife over the threshold of the home, she says. Not that that happens much in a bunker these days. But we don't live in a bunker, Tara, I say, swooping her up in my arms. No, we don't, she says, smiling. Pushing open the door and kicking it closed behind me, I make my way to the study. Tara looks up at me, confused. I didn't think we'd be reading tonight, she says, her eyebrows raised. Oh, we won't be, I say. But the first time that I take you will be in here, where you read to me for the first time. Then I will take you in our bed, and in the bath, on the kitchen table, and we're going to be busy, she says, stroking my face. Very, Tara. The fire is roaring inside the study, and I place her in front of it. You look so beautiful today in this dress, but I know how good you look without it too. I growl, peeling it from her. It drops to the floor, and I strip her of her underwear. The flames flicker behind her, illuminating her flesh and catching all of her curves. My beautiful Tara, I say, ridding myself of my own clothes. Once I am done, I sit on the sofa and call her over. She straddles me, and her beauty takes my breath away. I run my tongue over each of her glorious breasts and wait for the moans that I am now familiar with. My mate, finally, I say, hardly believing this is happening. Thanos, she breathes. I love you. And you, I say, before I take her small, rounded breast in my mouth, sucking slow and hard. I can feel the heat emanating from between her legs and know that she is getting wet for me. When I rake my tusks over her nipples, she cries out in ecstasy, and I stiffen further. Oh God, Thanos! I've been waiting for this all day. Tara and I need to be inside you now. Yes, please, she cries. Are you ready for me? I ask. I'm always ready for you, Thanos. But YouTube isn't nearly ready for what happens next. If you're hungry for the true happily ever after, dive into the unabridged audiobook available exclusively on worldsofprotheka.com. It's where the real magic unfolds, unfiltered and undiluted. Don't let anything hold you back from the full story. Not when I'm beyond ready to give it to you. Thank you for listening to Orcs Plaything by Celeste King. In a world of elves, demons, and liches.
What would you choose?
Power?
Or passion?
Would you stab the monster in the back?
Or take him to bed?
The Immersive Fantasy Audiobook Bundle has it all.
Go to worldsofprotheka.com to get access.
Use code YouTube30 to get an additional 30% off.
Protheka's magic is eternal. Audio bundles will make it immersive.